Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Okay, let's get started. We are now going to.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. I'm just excited to see people in the audience.
I completely agree.
Yes, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. The time is now 6:32 p.m. We will now reconvene the special city council meeting. Madam City Attorney, do we have anything to report in closed session?
There were 2 items on the closed session agenda. Item number 1, City Council received a staff's report and gave settlement authority to its legal counsel. And item number 2, the City Council gave direction to city staff, but there was no reportable action. And that ends the closed session report.
Thank you. The special city council meeting is now adjourned, and the time is 6:34 p.m. I would like to call to order the regular city council meeting. City Clerk Duarte, will you please take roll?
Councilmember Frometa,
Present.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez,
Present.
Mayor Pacheco.
Present. I will now welcome up our former mayor, Rick Rodriguez, for the invocation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council, staff. What an honor to come back here and do the invocation. I was thinking about this as I wrote this prayer out. I started this book back in 2019 of prayers for invocation for the county and the city and other places. And during that year, I had a heart attack and 2 exploratory surgery for cancer. And I don't say that because I want to bring you down, but the most important part of the healing process was to come back here and serve my city. That was the most important thing to me. And I say that to you this evening because we have a lot of precious moments and certain things in our city and certain ideas in our country and the world that's going on that really need our attention. So thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to be here. And if you please join me in a prayerful moment. Dear Lord, we gather here today in this place because you ordained it. You watch over us, you care for us, you love us, Lord. Lord, forgive us for our shortcomings, our outbursts, our outrage, and our anger. Lord, I pray that you will strengthen us at this time and remind us constantly what is the true important things of our world. Like today, people are dying, people are starving, people are fleeing their homes to save their lives and the lives of their families. And yet, Lord, in this place, you see fit to give us options to choose. In this council, we can choose good from evil. We can choose to keep our city as you've intended it, to be a place of one God, one nation under God, marching forward with love, honor, and respect. So, Lord, we ask you to keep a watchful eye over us, strengthen us, protect us, keep us strong, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray, and all God's children said, Amen. Thank you. Adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. I would now like to invite up Girl Scout Troop 2715 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's give them a round of applause.
Now put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Great job. Next up on our agenda are some presentations that I have. So the first presentation that I have this evening is the Mayor's Impact Award. And this is an award that is given to an individual who has made a special impact here in the city of Downey, who have gone above and beyond for the residents and for our city. And for this award, I would like to invite up the family of Priscilla Coronado. Is the family here? Can I have you please come up? And I believe your daughter is attending over Zoom, correct?
Yes, I'm here.
Do we have her camera on? Oh. There she is. Oh, fantastic.
Hi,
Oh, you
everyone.
can see me. Great.
Yes, I can see you all.
So this is a remarkable young lady. Harvard Law Review has named Priscilla Coronado, a California-born daughter of Mexican immigrants, as its newest president, elevating Latina to the top of the most prestigious U.S. law journals for the first time in its 135-year history. Harvard Law student Priscilla Coronado, 24, attended Real San Gabriel Elementary School, Downey Middle School, and graduated in the top 3% of her class in 2015 from Downey High School. She is the first in her family to attend college and earned her undergraduate degree from UCLA. Law reviews are staffed by the top students of the U.S. law schools who are often recruited for judicial clerkships and other prestigious jobs in the profession. Legal and political luminaries who have worked at the Harvard Law Review include President Barack Obama, who was named the journal's first Black president in 1990. Also included 3 serving members of the U.S. Supreme Court who have served as editors. As a Downey Viking, Priscilla was a very well-rounded student. She completed and received a silver medal at the Skills USA State competition in Quiz Bowl, was a California State Federation seal bearer for her academic achievements, participated in wind ensemble and jazz band for 2 years, and concluded her senior year as a section leader in the marching band. When the academic year is done at Harvard Law School, it was shared that she plans to work as a summer associate at Munger, Tullis & Olson, a California-based firm known for consistently ranking among the most selective law firms in the United States that regularly top lists of the country's elite law firms. So she is planning to work back here in California at an elite law firm. And so because of her accomplishments, because of what the impact she's done in our city of Downey, I am recognizing her today, which is great because given that it's Women's History Month, and we should be acknowledging all the accomplishments of women who have come before us, but we should be also acknowledging the women who are coming up and making sure that they can also continue to grow into great women and who will then help our future generations to come. So I just want to thank Priscilla from the bottom of my heart, acknowledge your huge accomplishments. I know you will do great things in life, and I hope to see you soon back here in Downey. I have your parents here. I'm sure they're very proud. I would like to also allow them to speak on your behalf if you are okay with it. So let's welcome up Priscilla's parents.
Thank you very much for support, Priscilla. And she make history and it's not in Downey, but in United States, and she put Downey high. So I'm so happy and thank Priscilla to work very hard. And I say hi, Priscilla, and I'll see you for a long time, but she's working, she's so busy. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm
And,
not sure if you can hear me, but
Yes.
yeah, thank you so much for honoring me with this award. It means a lot coming from Downey since I spent the majority of my life there, and I'm very happy to be back in May. So I hope to see some of you in person. And los extraño mucho, Maipa. Thank you for being there.
By any chance, do I have any of our former teachers here? No? Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you when you come back. That way we're actually going to be presenting your parents with the Mayor's Impact Award, which reads, in recognition of your selfless dedication and always going above and beyond for others. Your heartfelt efforts and accomplishments have been of enormous value to our community and have helped to further the common goal of making our city a better place for all. Signed by your mayor, Blanca Pacheco. Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you in May, Priscilla.
Same here. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. I love that everyone was saying bye, too. That was really nice. Thank you. Next up, we have a presentation of city tile. recognition of a retiring employee with 37 years of service, Benito Ortiz. I'm going to invite up Delfino Kunsuji, who will help me with this presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Pacheco. If I may, I'd like to call Ben Ortiz up front so I can embarrass you. First of all, congratulations, Ben.
Thank you.
37 years dedicated service to the city of Downey. That's amazing. So Ben began his career in public works working for the cities of Montebello and Compton before eventually coming to the city of Downey. He was not only a dedicated employee, but also a wealth of knowledge, especially in sewer and stormwater, where he worked for 37 years. Ben holds a Grade 2 Water Distribution Operator certification from the State Water Board, which, by the way, came in handy in numerous occasions, especially during after-hours emergencies, assisting in water main leaks and water line repairs. Ben was a vital member of the Utilities Division, where his experience enabled him to perform lead worker duties and responsibilities in sewer and stormwater. He was very enthusiastic about his job, always willing to learn, and more importantly, provided exceptional customer service to the Downey community. Ben is married to his junior high school sweetheart, Lonnie. They have 3 adult children and 5 grandsons. That's the starting 5 of a basketball team, Ben. So Ben and his wife love animals, and in fact, they have adopted many dogs, especially dachshunds. Can you adopt 2 more? 2 German Shepherds. Ben enjoys camping and the outdoors. He was involved with the Boy Scouts of America for 10 years. He also backpacked 50 miles across Catalina Island and climbed some of the highest mountains in the US, including Mount Whitney. So it looks like he will be extremely busy in his retirement. So once again, congratulations, Ben, and best wishes on your retirement.
I was also Employee of the Year in 2016.
So he was also Employee of the Year in 2016, right? I knew that. I was saving that for last.
Very proud of that. Same year the Cubs won the World Series.
Wait, we have another one?
No, I wanted to bring this to the council chambers.
I guess we
I'm
have-
very proud of this.
We have a couple more. Wait, a picture? Next up, we're going to recognize retiring employee Lynette Williams with 21 years of service to the Downey Police Department. And to help me with this presentation, I will call up Captain Baker. And it might as well have...
You okay? You can stand wherever you want. Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is truly an honor to recognize a friend and coworker and someone that I've had the privilege to work with during my entire career at the police department. Lynette Williams, who retired after, if you count her part-time service, 26 years of service to the city of Downey. Prior to her retirement, Lynette had been a valued member of the Downey Police Department. During her career, she worked various assignments, which included being a record specialist, detective bureau secretary, and at the time of her retirement, she was assigned as the secretary for field operations. Her hard work and dedication to the residents of Downey and her fellow employees made a significant contribution to our department and the entire city. Lynette is the definition of a public servant. Besides her day-to-day duties at the department, she was instrumental and continues to be active in giving back to the community. She routinely volunteered her time at all Downey police events, including, and it's a long list, the 5K for 5 King, honoring deceased police officer Ricardo Galvez, the Baker to Vegas Relay Run, the Thanksgiving Meal Giveaway, the Downey Police Canine Foundation, the Pink Patch Project, the Downey Police Mounted Unit, Gangs Out of Downey, and our annual Shop with a Cop. As if that's not enough, Lynette also values more of her time to organizations to help veterans, including the Bob Hope USO, honoring our fallen, New Directions for Veterans, Tragedy Assistance Programs for Survivors, and Volunteers of America. Lynette has made a lasting impact on the lives of our community members, fellow employees, and everyone she interacted with during her career. While we wish her a wonderful retirement, I hope she enjoys spending time with family and friends. She will continue to be involved at the department as she is coming back as one of our citizen volunteers. She never stops giving back to the department or the community. Lynette is amazing. We miss her every day.
Thank you very much, Brian, for that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, the council?
You gotta be in the middle.
And our last presentation will be a proclamation on Women's History Month. So like I mentioned previously, this is a month of March in which we should remember all the women who have come a long way, who have fought so hard so that you can now have a council with females. And so we are seeing more people in law enforcement. We are seeing more women as doctors, as attorneys, as legislators, in many different fields in which many women were not there before. And so this month, I wanted to provide this proclamation to the Seroptimist Club. The reason being is because of all that they do for young ladies and for women. So I have here with me a proclamation, and I'd like to invite up any of the members of Seroptimist Club who are here. I know Blanca Rochine. So I have here a proclamation which reads, whereas every March, Women's History Month provides an opportunity to honor the generations of trailblazing women and girls who have built our city, shaped our progress, and strengthened our character. And whereas throughout our history, despite hardship, exclusion, and discrimination, women have strived and sacrificed for equity and equality. And whereas we continue to carry forward the mission of ensuring our daughters have the same opportunities as our sons, and whereas women and girls continue to lead groundbreaking civil rights movements for social justice and freedom so that everyone can realize the full promise of America. And whereas this Women's History Month, as we reflect on the achievements of women and girls across the centuries and pay tribute to the pioneers who have paved the way, let us recommit to the fight and help realize the vision of an equal society where every person has a chance to pursuing the American dream. Now, therefore, I, Blanca Pacheco, Mayor of the City of Downey, do hereby proclaim March 22nd as Women's History Month. I call upon all residents to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Signed by Blanca Pacheco. Thank you. Can I have, okay, who wants to?
Acting over and year after year. Thank you guys so much. I mean, I love Downey, I love this community, and we enjoy being a part of everything that you guys allow us to be a part of and get us involved in. So thank you so much. We'll continue to work hard for you guys. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak?
No, you're good. You're good. You want to say anything, Dorothy? Come on.
One of the longtime members. I've been a member of Seroptimist for 30 years. And Seroptimist was started back in 1921 when a female doctor was invited to join a service club. And the men found out that she was a female. So they said, I'm sorry, we don't allow women in our club. The club was Rotary at the time. So they decided to form a club called Seroptimist that was based for women who are in the business field. Soro meaning sister and Optimi meaning the best. We are the best of women and we're international. So look us up.
Good to see you too. Oh, last person. Hi, how are you? Your card and thank you.
Wait, don't.
Madam Mayor, you are the mayor.
You are the mayor. Students together.
other 11. It's the other 11. That's what they would say. That's what my.
And now is the time for city council member announcements, requests for future agenda items, conference meetings, and reports. I'll start off to my far left with Councilmember Trujillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your city hall. These are your council chambers. It's always good to see the community so involved. I was an activist in college, and it's really interesting what we're seeing going on in our city. We have different factions, different groups getting involved, and I think that's fantastic. I agree with my colleague, Councilwoman from Meta, and engaged community is very important. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to stand up for your values and what you believe should be the values of this city. We may not always agree, but I think the one thing that we should focus on is our love for the city. I will probably die in this city. I'm trying to have a city that my kids want to stay in, so they will raise my grandkids here, because someday I probably will have grandkids, and it'd be fantastic if they just stayed. So when I make decisions, I think of my family, and I think of my home, and I think of my community and my city. And that's why I signed up to do this. Again, we may not agree all the time, but that's where I'm functioning from, because this is my city. And we are starting to repair the streets. You're seeing a lot of machinery out there. Some people are complaining. We really need your patience as we go through this process. First, you want us to fix the streets, and then you're going to call and complain? Like, come on, give us a break here. So let's work together. I mean, we are doing our best to spend your money wisely. And we do consider that it's your money. It's not my money, it's your money, so I'm really careful about how we spend it. I am going to Guadalajara to represent the city. I'm paying for everything. And by the way, you can file Public Records Act requests. I know some of you are really good at that. You get access to everything we spend with the city credit card. So feel free, if you ever have any questions about what money I'm getting. By the way, this is a volunteer position. Some people seem to think that we have a salary. We do get a stipend. It's like $800 and something, and it's supposed to be so council members could get medical benefits. This is a part-time position. We are not paid, okay? And our finances, we have to file our finances every year. I have to report everything I make. So there's a lot of things about our private life that get put under a microscope. We signed up for that. I understand that, but everything is public. I believe in transparency. So I have spent a lot of time focusing on funding for the arts. I'm a big believer in that our quality of life in Downey would be better if the fabric of our city included arts, culture, and history. Yes, I do want a statue for Karen Carpenter, and some people think it's a big waste of money. Every decision I make up here, there's always like somebody on the other side who's not going to be happy with me. I'm going to fight for that statue because I believe in preserving the history of our city. It's so special, right? It's so special. our connection to the space history and the legacy of the Carpenters. And don't forget Weird Al Yankovic and, iCarly. I think those things are important to many of us. So I'm going to fight for those. I'm not going to apologize for that. So I've been meeting with the State Gallery, the Downey Arts Collection, Coalition, the Civic Theater. I want to open up the theater because that's your theater. And I want to give families in Downey an opportunity to have the experience of taking their kids to a museum. We don't have a Downey Museum of Arts. We closed it down, but there's good proposals that are coming in on how we could use the lobby of the theater to give you that opportunity to take your kids to a museum experience. So I'm fighting for that because I believe in that. Congratulations to the Chamber of Commerce on another very successful street fair. It's always so good to be out in our community. We really are. I feel it's like a smaller city, even though we have 112,000 residents. I feel like I know so many of you, and again, we share that bond for the city. So I love those events, and thank you to the Chamber for doing that. And I know the fearless leader here, Mr. Calvert, is present. Congratulations, Michael, to you and your organization. Sister Cities. We had a very successful meeting. I see some faces who were there. There were about 25 of us there, and there was a lot of good energy in the room. Congratulations to the Sister City organization. I see some members over here. We're going to revive that important piece of Downey history. I mean, when President Eisenhower called on Americans to step up and participate in people-to-people exchange programs across our borders, Downey was one of the first ones to do it. And we're going to fight to keep that alive because that's part of who we are. Downey is the first in several areas, right? By the way, Taco Bell, the first Taco Bell was in Downey, okay? Listen, my kid loves Taco Bell. That's Americana. The fact that the first one was here is a big thing to me, and I'm really proud of it. So I also want to thank Vicente Ortiz from the AHUA organization. He's been very instrumental in creating opportunities for cultural exchange across our borders when it comes to cultural and economic opportunities, both for Downey residents and residents in Jalisco. I also want to thank past planning commissioners Jim Rodriguez and Luis Morales for educating me and taking the time to sit with me about SB 9, which we'll be addressing today. We're really trying to strike a balance for those of you who want to build an additional unit in your property. The state wants us to do that, but at the same time, we want to control the character of our precious neighborhoods. So if you're interested in building units, come get information from our city hall and email me if you have questions and look into it so you can take advantage of that legislation. I'm spending a lot of time at the skate park. I have a 12-year-old, and right now he's a skater. Congratulations to the city. It's a beautiful skate park. I see the security guards walking around. I feel better about that. And the cleanliness, it's really a nice park, Independence Park. So congratulations to the city with that. And with that, just a couple of items, Madam Mayor. The downtown Downey parking structure continues to be what I deem to be just unacceptable. I'm embarrassed. If people from other cities are coming to our downtown and they go into that parking structure, it's pretty embarrassing. It's just not acceptable. So if the city could continue to work with the Downtown Business Association, but I'm not seeing any improvements in that parking lot. So if we can look into that. Also, I'd like a report back of what's going on with the mall. The outside of the mall looks faded, and it's not representative of what the city should be requiring from its biggest mall. That mall is a moneymaker. I find it hard to believe that they don't have some money to give that mall a facelift. Those signs are just not acceptable. So I would like a staff back, a report to see what is going on with the mall. With that, I conclude my comments and requests. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Councilmember Claudia Fermetta.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I will try to keep my comments short. I know we have a full agenda and a packed house. Welcome. It's nice to see everybody. As has been stated, this is my hashtag since I got elected. Engaged communities are strong communities, and it is nice to see that the reopening of our council chambers, we have many of you here. And I do want to welcome you, but I also want to welcome those of you that are watching us via Zoom and YouTube. And I want to say it is so encouraging and uplifting to see when our community does not agree on something. And when you are outraged and there's outcries about something, that you show up. Thank you. Thank you for voicing your discontent. I know we will hear about that later in our agenda. But I also want to encourage you to make this more of a regular thing, because as has been stated, we are elected by you, and oftentimes we find ourselves in council chambers with only a few, and sometimes a few loudmouths that don't live in the city and are not representing of our community and our community values. And so we need to hear from you, and you need to hold each and every one of us accountable for our decisions and how you want us to move our city forward. Because as my council colleague indicated, this is your council chambers. This is your community. Many of us have been here 30, 40 years, in many cases 50 plus years. And so this is our Downey. And as things continue to change in many ways, we need to be awake and we need to be present, not just when something is happening that you may not so agree with, but you need to be engaged. So thank you for being here tonight. I had the pleasure of again attending I participated virtually in the 10th anniversary of TLC, the True Lasting Connections. And this is a program that works under the leadership of our Downey Unified School District. And as you know, we are separate entities. But this is a resource center that connects families and students in need with resources in our community. And they celebrated their 10th annual virtual walk. I had the pleasure of representing virtually all the way from Disney World, from the Magic Kingdom, and also representing with our Downey High School team, which I mentioned at our last council meeting, did bring home a second place. They will be competing in the USA Nationals coming up this weekend, so let's wish them a lot of luck. I had the opportunity also to be a part of the street fair this weekend. It is nice to see our community settling in some type of normalcy after 2 very difficult years with the virus. And thank you, Downey Chamber of Commerce, Michael Calvert, Executive Director, who's joining us here tonight, the members, the board members that were there. It was really refreshing to see our community coming back after a 2-year hiatus. I also want to recognize the Downey Los Amigos Kiwanis Club, which I'm lucky to be a part of. They had a very successful car show, and we hope that we continue to have the street fair at this time during the season, so that it doesn't get too hot for our residents. I also had the opportunity to attend our clergy council meeting, which was in person. And again, Downey is known for a lot of things. As has been mentioned, we have a rich cultural history, of course, the Carpenters, and Downey is home to the oldest McDonald's and the oldest Taco Bell. And there's so many unique things about the city that it's wonderful to be a part of all of these wonderful organizations. The Clergy Council meets on the last Monday, on the third Monday, of every month, and brings about different places of worship, different faiths, leaders of different faiths. We come together so that we can discuss how we can support one another. And my council colleague just mentioned, we're here to fight for you. I see it as working for you, not necessarily fighting. I don't like to fight for you. I like to work in collaboration with my council colleagues for you. I think we are seeing very difficult times, and as we see the world across in Russia and Ukraine, people fight and people disagree, but there's no need to fight. We don't need to fight for you. We can move initiatives forward that are representative of what you want. And that's why you elect us. So the Clergy Council, for those of you that are involved in a church or a community, whatever the faith is, I welcome you. We meet on the third Monday of every month. The meetings will be hopefully moved over to the Cormac room at the library. We had been meeting at Barbara J. Riley, and with COVID, a lot of those meetings went virtual. So I look forward to your participation. Some meetings or some events that will be of interest to you are the following. On April the 2nd, Saturday at 10 a.m., we have the City of STEM. This will be full on in Mr. Ben Dicko over there. Thank you for all your hard work for the City of STEM. This is such a phenomenal event that in the past has brought in, 15,000 people, Ben? Right about that. Last year, of course, it was a little bit less virtual, but nonetheless, participation was limited with everything we were dealing with. So this year, please join and support our City of STEM on April the 2nd, Saturday. Also, the Gangs Out of Downey luncheon is scheduled for April the 4th. Tickets are available. And April 9th, it is Father Convention, and it will be held at Warren High School. This is Saturday, April 9th at 10 a.m. There will be a variety of speakers, and certainly I believe some of my council colleagues and I will be in attendance at that event. There's a couple of things that I do want to ask, and that is, I would like to ask for a resolution recognizing next month, April, Child Abuse Prevention Month. And again, for those of us that have children, I have 4, child abuse prevention should not just be relegated to 1 month. We should always be on the lookout for signs. But certainly from a national perspective, Child Abuse Prevention Month is April, so I would like to ask for a resolution for that, Madam Mayor. And I've got a couple of things that I also would like to bring up. I would like to make you aware, if you haven't noticed, thanks to my council colleagues and during my mayoral year last year, we really pushed, and thanks to our city manager, reducing our carbon footprint and installing solar panels around all of our city buildings. And if you've noticed, there's canopies that are right outside in the parking lot. And so these are really exciting projects for our city. I had also asked our public works and certainly our social media to start a campaign to bring about the education and information on what is a tree canopy and what are we doing through our urban forest management plan to increase the tree canopy in the city. Downey, where we're geographically located, and there's so many emissions from all of the different freeways. And so to protect our, not just our environment, but our lungs and our quality of life, it is important to plant trees. And from a city standpoint, it is important to make sure that we educate our community of the importance of again, clean air and clean oxygen. So if you've noticed, all of these things are working in concert with one another. I would like to ask Public Works, there is a light that I actually spent a little bit of time there, actually several times. This is on Brookshire going north, the Brookshire and Imperial. The light that turns left onto Imperial, coming from Brookshire, going north, turning left on Imperial, that left arrow lasts about 2 seconds. And so there's only about 1 car that goes. And I know I've gotten complaints from some of my city residents. And so I just want to make sure that we look at that, we address that, please. And as my council colleague mentioned a little bit ago, you all have many times, as we ran for office, talked to us about the streets. I represent District 4, northeast out of Downey, and all of us in our respective districts, we've heard about the condition of our streets. Thanks to our city manager and the council, over 35 million were approved and passed, and that money is moving forward, is working right now. If you look at tonight's agenda, there's a lot of construction and repavement and rehabilitation throughout our city. I agree. We don't always have the perfect timing, but there's never the perfect timing. It's either too early, it's the start of schools, too late, is that, please extend your grace. We are trying to do what you've asked us to do, and it's never a perfect time to repave and rehabilitate streets. So be patient and extend your grace to us. One last thing is, let's see. I just want to echo my council colleagues' comments regarding the signage of the Stonewood Mall. I remember I was a resident in this city when we had an open mall, and we had ferals, and we had a movie theater. And since its closure, and there's a lot that has happened, the signage at every entrance is broken. The lights do not work, and the signage looks like it's back from the 1980s. And we need to make sure that all of that gets rehabbed. One last thing, continuing to focus on the trash situation within our commercial properties. Oh, I think I hit a nerve right there. We love our businesses, and we are all pro-business, and we want them to succeed. And that was another one of my pet peeves, and that's one of the projects that I started also last year, the #BinIt campaign. We need to hold our businesses and the property management companies accountable for the condition of the strip malls. I realize that we have a lot of people, and I realize that people come and shop, and we need to teach them manners sometimes. But more than anything, the property managers and those stores need to be held accountable to making sure that their parking lots and the outside of their storefronts have enough trash bins, enough trash receptacles, or people to empty those trash receptacles, because many areas throughout our city are really in a bad condition. With that, Madam Mayor, my apologies for taking this long, but all those things needed to be said. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just want to say thank you for coming, and I hear you, and I'm listening to you, and they know who they are. We're talking about Ojos Locos, and I know that you guys are making a better decision and coming here and talking about it, because it is what it is. This is our freedom of speech, and this is where you guys can come and say what we want or don't want in the city. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. So I just want to start off with thanking all of you for joining us this evening at our council meeting. Like was mentioned by my council colleagues, it's important for us to hear from you. It's important for you to be involved in the city. It's important for you to voice your concerns. I know a lot of you are here regarding Ojos Locos, and I'm glad. I'm glad you're here. We did put out in the Downey Patriot information as to how to reach out to the owner. And I hope many of you have done so. I hope you've called him, or I don't know if I think it's a him. I hope you've called him or them to voice your concerns, because it's important. It's important for them to hear what you have to say. Like, it's important for us to hear what you have to say. And it shouldn't just be this topic. Like my council colleague Frometa said, it's important for you to stay engaged in all aspects. So I also invite you to attend all future council meetings and to be involved. So it means a lot that all of you are here today, and I know we're going to hear from each and every one of you, and I want to make sure that we hear from each and every one of you, because that is important. Some people that I did want to recognize, I do want to recognize my mother, who's an elected official. She sits on the Cerritos College Board. Raise your hand, Mom. Also in attendance, we have Jeannie Wood. Raise your hand. So a couple of events that I attended. I attended the Hope Latina History Day Conference, and I'm sure you're probably tired of me talking about Women's History Month. But this was a great conference. We had various female speakers talk about what they have done within their respective fields. One person that I met was involved with the Chargers. So there's many women in many different fields, and this was a great event, just talking to other fabulous women that attended as well. I also had the pleasure of attending the St. Raymond's Gala. There's a lot going on at St. Raymond's, and I want to thank their principal, Claudia Rodarte, for the invitation. And then last Wednesday, I attended former Downey Mayor Bob Davila's funeral services. I was there on behalf of the city of Downey. I know the family well, and it was really sad to hear of his passing. And I was able to provide the family with a certificate from the city of Downey, acknowledging him being former mayor of Downey and being there in support for him and for the family on behalf of our city. And then, thank you. Also, I attended the virtual ARC Walk last Saturday. The ARC is committed to promoting and protecting the rights of individuals with disabilities. This year, it was virtual. I've attended in previous years when it was in person. We always start off at Stonewood Mall, and then we walk down Florence Avenue, and then come back up to the Stonewood Mall. And it's always a great event. We always have a lot of people out there. It's a great community walk event. But unfortunately, the ARC wasn't able to host it this year in person, but they are planning on doing it in person next year. And then I also attended the Downey Street Fair, so it was nice to see everyone in attendance. I'll also acknowledge and thank Chamber Executive Director Michael Calvert, like everyone else has. Do you want to stand? No. So let's give him a round of applause. He did do a lot of hard work. So I also want to thank our Downey Fire and Police, who were also in attendance at the street fair. This was a great opportunity for our kids to get some different goodies and pictures taken with our Downey PD and Downey Fire. So thank you to both departments for participating also in the Downey Street Fair. And thank you to all the service clubs and organizations that attended this great event. I had a lot of fun. I was there, of course, with my mother. So it was a lot of fun. If you didn't get an opportunity to attend this year, please do so in the future, because it is a lot of fun. A couple of items that I wanted to bring up. I hate to do this, Delfino, but there's also a light over off of Firestone and Woodruff. I noticed that the light turns on and off. It would just randomly turn on and off. It's a street light. And maybe it's supposed to do that, but it's weird that it turns on and off. And then I also wanted to let everyone know about the Downey One Day of Service, which will be held on April 23rd. This is a concept that was thought of by our former Downey Mayor, Rick Rodriguez. It's the one day where we all get together and we all do a community event. Yes. And this will be April 23rd, 9 a.m. is a kickoff rally, and our projects will begin at 10 a.m., and we will be meeting at the Downey Civic Center. And as many of you know, and was previously mentioned, we are doing a lot of street repavement projects, so we are going to be coming into your streets. So we do ask for you to be patient. There's going to be noise. There's going to be dust. But in the end, you're going to have a nicely repaved street, which I hope you will be very happy with. In fact, today I had the pleasure of doing a video, which will be shared on social media with our Public Works Director, Delfino, just providing information about this street repavement project. And one final thing, I would like to see if we could bring back Business Watch. This was a great program for our businesses to receive information. So I'd like to see if maybe this would be Aldo?
Madam Mayor, we'll go ahead and take care of it.
Okay,
No problem.
thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, when you're done.
Do you want to add something else?
Yeah, I wanted to add something else, yes.
Okay.
May I? Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to, I neglected to address this to the community. I mentioned it during my comments, but I hope the continuous outcry from this community regarding Ojos Locos. I hope that you email Ojos Locos CEO, Rich Hicks, at rhicks@reachrg.com, or you call him at 214-455-3003. I hope that by you doing that, you can place enough pressure on him so that he can take his business elsewhere.
Why aren't you guys?
Otherwise,
excuse me.
Otherwise, all the media attention.
Excuse me, sir.
All the media attention he is receiving is actually free publicity.
Councilmember,
Hold on.
please.
First warning.
Sir,
Sir,
if we can't keep order in the audience, we're going to have to clear everyone, and it wouldn't be fair for everyone else who wants to speak. So I would like to have courtesy being extended to Councilmember Frometa, so that way she could speak, and then we could proceed in allowing everybody else to speak. Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I'm simply going to say that all this media attention this establishment is receiving is actually free publicity. Thank you.
Okay.
please,
you.
we would appreciate that there be no outbursts, that we respect everybody's time to speak. We will be going into public comment very soon, and we ask everybody to respect all speakers, please.
So, like was mentioned, we will be taking public comment. I know there's a lot of energy out there. There's a lot of discontent. I just ask that everybody please be respectful to each other, to everyone speaking. Everybody will have an opportunity to speak, but it is important for us to be civil. We on council, we've heard your concerns, and we want to hear more of what you have to say. But the only way we can do this is if we do this in a very civil manner. So again, I also ask everyone to please be civil. I will now be taking public comment on agenda, non-agenda, and consent calendar items next. Before we begin the public comment period, I would like to remind members of the public that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Copies of the meeting rules are located in the back of the chambers. The City Council acknowledges the right of the public to address issues that are within the city's jurisdiction and invites the public to do so during the City Council meeting. However,
Order in the chambers.
However, this right must be balanced with the need of the City Council to conduct the public business in a fair and efficient manner, free for disruption or disturbance. Members of the audience who wish to address the City Council during public comment are reminded that the city's meeting rules prohibit yelling, whistling, booing, screaming, and any other outburst that disrupts or disturbs the meeting. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts persons who are addressing the City Council. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts council members while they are speaking, and any other conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Due to the amount of public comments expected this evening, each speaker shall have 1 minute to address the council regarding agenda, non-agenda, and consent calendar items. Again, I ask there to be order. Mr. Martinez.
First warning. First warning. I'm looking at her. First warning, Mayor. Yeah.
This will be a second warning now, Mr. Martinez. In order to allow everyone the opportunity to be heard, we will not be placing a time limit like we normally do for public comment this evening. I remind everyone that your comments are to be addressed to me and not to any other council or staff member. City Clerk Duarte, have we received any written correspondence on agenda, consent calendar, and non-agenda items to be incorporated into the record?
Yes, Mayor, we received one public comment regarding item number 13 in support of the dress code ordinance. We also received one public comment regarding item number 18, someone with the desire to fill the vacancy. We received a total of 9 public comments in support of the State Gallery, item number 20. And lastly, we received a total of 5 non-agenda public comments from residents opposing the Ojos Locos restaurant. That is all, Mayor.
Thank you. And now, members of the public wishing to address the city council may now come forward and form a line. I remind each speaker that you will have 1 minute to speak so that we can allow everyone the opportunity to speak. Okay. We also have a Spanish language interpreter if anyone does need one. Mr. Herman?
Orion the Hunter. I'm here from Mars to do the battle of the people. We the people, Orion, and Trujillo will put Metallica out there as a statue in remembrance of the first fucking badass band in the world. Go Metallica! Yeah, Puppet Master! However, our First Amendment, again, why is it that when I speak, niggers pick on me? Why is it when I speak, bitches up there don't defend me while others make noise? Why? I'll tell you why, because you're a dirty nigger. Brandenburg versus Ohio, US 395, 444, 1969.
Point of order.
It's right here. A
Point of
dirty
order.
nigger. Go back to
Mr. Herman.
Israel. What?
Please sit down.
Submitting it to the record.
Madam Mayor, there is a uncontrollable outrage here that cannot be tolerated during public comment. One more warning, and then we move to clear the room.
Okay, this is a warning. Can I please have everyone who is not speaking? Oh, there was a child here.
Huh? There's a child here. Take a recess.
We're going to go ahead and take a recess. reconvene the meeting. Due to this disruptive behavior by Mr. Herman and the disruption that you have caused here in the council chambers, I am instructing our city manager to inform our sergeant at arms to have you removed from the council chambers.
Captain Baker, could you please have Mr. Herman removed?
Mr. Martinez has also been disrupted. Second warning, third warning is out too.
Mr. Martinez, this is your second warning.
There's no threat. It's how he's behaving and disrespecting our families and our community.
Are you leaving the chamber because you're afraid for your safety?
Mr. Martinez, please sit down. Mr. Martinez, please sit down. Mr. Martinez, please sit down and stop interfering.
Mr. Martinez, you're going to be next.
Love you, Mommy Mayor. Mommy Mayor, that's offensive.
Madam Mayor, first warning for Mr. Greenspan. Mr. Greenspan, first warning, please. Madam Mayor, second warning for Mr. Greenspan.
Hold just a second. So I just want to again apologize to members of the audience who had to witness Mr. Herman's foul language. It's unfortunate that we have to deal with this due to First Amendment rights, but I do apologize for his behavior. You can proceed.
Okay. Gee, one whole fucking minute. Well, after all, where's Sean Ashton? Oops, he resigned. Well, he's going to be missed by nobody. I'm taking an Englander quote. Oh, and Gilbert's going. Bye, Gilbert. You'll be missed by nobody, too. I heard a rumor that out of your Almani buddies, Alma Martinez, the broad with the big boobs and the big mouth, is going to be here to replace Gilbert. And probably so. You know, the Bruin fraternity still hangs on. Well, what can I say? I sure hope that Karen Carpenter statue is done by somebody local. Before Mario was on the council, we had a sculpture done by a Colorado company. So I do hope that the Carpenter statue is local this time. And thank you for all my warnings, cunty vet.
Your time's up.
Eat pussy, Mario.
Please, let's have some order. Let's have some decorum in the chambers, please. Let's listen to the speakers.
First of all, I'm very disappointed that this restaurant might be coming into Downey. I believe that I've been here for many years. I believe that Downey is a family city, and I think we need to protect our children. There's a lot of people that are going to be speaking on this, so I do have one other agenda I want to bring up, and that is the city dog park. First of all, thank you for letting us have it. It took a long time to get it, but we've outgrown it. The large dogs are jumping over the fence into the small dog area. I see that as a potential hazard. And the big dogs don't have enough race to run. I would like to extend the park and make the fences higher. And I hope that I can stay living in the city of Downey, and Downey will be family friendly, and I don't have to move my family out of the area because of things that are being brought into the area. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pacheco. My name is Jennifer Alvarez, and I'm a DOSD teacher of 21 years, mom to 6, and grandmother of 4. I have a long, deep investment as a stakeholder in our Downey community. Now, to this local Ojo Locos issue. After 21 years of teaching hundreds of kids about character counts and the pillars of respect and citizenship, I am baffled how our city leadership could welcome an establishment that violates everything about these pillars that are surrounding us now as we are speaking, after I spent years teaching kids and students to value and understand what each one means. Now, I've spent countless hours researching these restaurants, what they call themselves, Ojos Locos, and not because it's hard to find things about them, because there's so much that I have had to siphon through. I found articles about murders, gun violence, drug deal gone bad, security guards in paramilitary uniforms, sexual harassment lawsuits that include a 17-year-old that was working as one of their chicas, what they call them. 17. Our high school students are 17 years old. Will they be getting a job there? They were sued for $700,000 for their sexual
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, excuse me. Ma'am, can we turn off the mic? It's off. Ma'am,
Point of order, Madam Mayor. Point of order. Point
sorry,
of order.
Ma'am, we need to allow everybody else to speak.
Point of order, please.
Sorry.
Madam Mayor, there's so much disruption that we cannot respect every speaker's rights. One more outburst from the public, we will clear the room. We need to be respectful.
So I respect everybody's comments, but you see, there's a long line of people, and we need to hear from everybody. So we need to still do the business of the city. So I ask that everybody have a minute, so that way we could hear from everyone, because if we don't provide a minute, not everybody will be heard. Okay.
Okay. My name's Karina Saucedo, and I'm a lifelong resident of Downey. Approximately 1 year ago, a copy of the Ojos Locos liquor license application was forwarded to DPD, City Council, City Planning, and the City Attorney. At that time, you all had the ability to reject the application. This can be done when there is any reason to believe that granting a liquor license could result in increased crime or a public nuisance. We all know that that's the case, and you guys just acted like you had no idea. Now you're feigning outrage when you see that everybody is pissed off, and it's unacceptable. So I'm challenging you all to something. Last meeting, when there was something about tattoo parlors, everybody clutched their pearls and said, can we limit how many tattoo parlors there are in Downey? Well, I challenge you to this. Limit how many liquor licenses are given in Downey. But you won't do it because it lines everybody's pockets. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alejandra Vargas, and I'm a Downey resident for the past 18 years. I always speak so highly about my city. I am an immigrant born in Mexico, double nationality. I am so sad to see what our city is going through. I am so sad to see how it's being driven. I look to the left, I look to the right, I hear in my windows, there's bandas, there's music, there's no more quietness in my city. And seeing this Ojo Loco has so much like sadness in my heart to see that what is our city gonna be now? I ask you, all of you, to please touch your hearts as parents. Mario Trujillo, you said it, you nailed it. You know, we cannot continue to have these bars come to our city. Let's start bringing more like family things, more residents, more restaurants, more things that are gonna help our kids. I'm a Downey mother of a high school, of a cheerleader, and seeing all these kids that are so like an example of what we...
Sorry, time's up. Your time's up. Again, I will clear the council chambers if we have to, and I don't want to.
Mr. Martinez, that's your third outburst. Madam Mayor, third outburst, third
City
warning.
Manager Olivas, can we please have Mr. Martinez escorted out?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm actually glad you're getting kicked out, Joe. You deserve to get kicked out. You're rude.
We are now going to clear the chambers.
So we will be temporarily clearing the chambers so that Mr. Martinez can be dealt with by the Downey Police Department.
Oh, no.
We're taking a recess.
He left.
Look, I apologize. This is a circus, okay? And it's being perpetrated by a couple of people that do this every meeting that they're here. So don't be surprised by this. This happens all the time. If you just give us a minute, go out into the lobby, we'll ask you all to be in so that we can deal with Mr. Martinez. Just give us 5 minutes.
Sí, pues sí. Con esos 60, está bien. Ujú.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes, we will now reconvene our city council meeting.
Members of the audience, if you just bear with me for a couple of minutes. If we can get through the public comment period in an orderly manner, I promise. Item number 13, we're going to pull, which addresses the attire that people will be wearing at this restaurant. During that period, we have our city prosecutor that can come up and address some of your questions that you have given to the full council. So just give us a minute. Let's get through this orderly. I promise he'll come up and address some of these questions for you. Is that fair? Okay, thank you.
And then I also just want to add upon that, we really have a lot of people that want to speak. And so because of that, we really need to keep that down to 1 minute. So once your minute is up, we ask that you stop and allow the next person to speak. So that way everybody has an opportunity, which is what I want. What I don't want is for us to keep continuing to go over, because I don't want there to be disruptions and where we have to clear the council chambers again, over and over again. We really need to get through this. We really need to hear from everyone, and I really want to hear from everyone. So please, 1 minute, once the timer's up, please stop speaking. Okay, next up.
Gracias, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Josefina Gutiérrez y estoy en el lugar correcto porque han dicho que aquí nos ayudan a resolver los problemas y eso espero. Porque tengo 22 años de residente de aquí de Downey. Busqué.
Good evening. My name is Josefina Gutierrez, and I'm, I guess, in the right place because they told me that this is the place where they actually solve the problems. I've been here 22 years in the city of Downey.
Seleccioné este distrito para mis hijas para que estudiaran aquí porque me gustó. Era un maravilloso paraíso hace 22 años, pero hoy me ha desilusionado. Yo pregunto, ¿dónde están los fondos que dicen que nos van a proporcionar para la ayuda en cualquier área que necesitemos?
I chose this district for bringing up my daughters, and I thought I made the right choice, and because this was a paradise when I first moved to this city. But I wonder now, and today I'm disappointed. I wonder where are all the funds that they told us about that they were going to give us to solve these issues.
Sí, porque yo tengo 4 años de homeless porque no tengo una vivienda estable. Porque pedí ayuda a la ciudad, a federal, a todo, porque nos hicieron fraude el Wells Fargo, que lo denunció otra vez, lo denuncié a través de la televisión, y perdimos la casa.
I have 4 years as a homeless individual because of the situation that arose, and I've been asking for help to different organizations, and I've denounced Wells Fargo because they robbed us our money, and I'm saying it again, they did it, and they took our home.
Y ahora yo he pedido ayuda en uno y otro lugar y no, pues sé que hay fondos, pero ¿dónde? ¿Dónde están esos fondos? Yo como homeless, ¿dónde los recibo? ¿Dónde los encuentro?
Now, again, I asked for help. I've been asking it over and over, and I don't know. I know the funds exist somewhere, but I don't know where to go to inquire about it, to get them. Where do I get them?
So, van a necesitar que hablar con Aldo. Aldo está aquí, a mi mano izquierda, y él le va a poder dar toda la información.
Gracias. Ahora lo último que quiero decir.
Eso es todo lo que puede.
No, estoy de acuerdo. No quiero esto. No quiero que se abra esto. Respeten nuestros hijos. Sus hijos de ustedes, respétenlos. Quiero que se.
¿Alguien va a hablar con usted?
Alguien va a hablar con usted.
Ojo en esto que están haciendo.
Te va a hablar con usted, Aldo.
Okay.
Algo hablar con usted. Venga.
Sí, gracias.
Señora.
So again, I remind everyone, the only way we're going to be able to get through this is if everybody has 1 minute. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Karen Armijo Canet. A lot of you guys might know me. I'm very vocal. I love Downey. I grew up here. I worked here. I worked for the city. I was very involved in Parks and Rec for years. And I worked for this school district through my 20s, and I came back after getting my degree, and I became a teacher here in Downey. My heart is here. I brought my kids up here. And I just cannot believe that a place like Ojos Locos is being allowed to even think about moving in here in our city. Breaks my heart. When they talked about revitalizing downtown Downey, I was excited. I will not go there with my kids. I will not go there to eat.
Sorry, ma'am.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I apologize to your daughter.
I want to say thank you to everyone who was kind enough to come and talk to her.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maria Di Paredes, and I'm a resident here in Downey for over 40 years. I've seen a lot of families growing up and becoming some of the mayors. And I'm really embarrassed for what happened today. First time that I see this. It's really embarrassing for the entire city. We're not like that. And also, opening this type of restaurant or whatever that is so close to Portos, the schools, everywhere. It should be allowed, please. I know we vote for you to be our voice. I was one of the first ones that brought the bicycle rides over here to Downey. I was one of them that I went forward. Thank you to the city hall, to all of you. We have the bicycle lines here in Downey. This is my third time here, and I hope you can help us. Downey is known for a family city. Let's keep it that way. Thank you.
My name is John Wilhite. I've been a resident of Downey for over 30 years. I've raised my kids here. I'm proud to say they no longer live in this city, unfortunately. You guys are opening up a cancer that you're not going to be able to control. There'll be no cure for the perverts and the people that come to these kind of places that you're wanting to have here. It's a cancer that you're never going to be able to control. You're going to have $1 million bar with $1 million problem. I want to take a minute also. 9 years ago next week, I died in the city of Downey in my living room. The fire department came. The dispatcher gave my son, told him to do a bunch of stuff, and I was brought back to life. I was given a second chance on life. Please, give Downey a second chance on life before you declare us dead. I noticed that you, when this meeting started, I noticed that you respect God, you respect the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, let's respect your citizens that put you up there. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pacheco. My name is Maria Ochoa, and I'm a resident of Downey. And I have a question for everybody up here. What is Downey doing wrong that we're attracting these type of businesses in our city? What type of ordinance do we have in place that are so low that anybody can come here and open up a sleazy restaurant and get away with it? I'm asking everybody up here, love our city the way I love it. Let's raise the bar. If we need to modify our codes and regulations, let's do that to discourage people from coming here, because it seems as of lately, all we do is roll out the carpet, make it incredibly easy for bars to open up. Everybody here knows we're fed up with the amount of bars opened up. And it breaks my heart as a Downey resident that in 2013, our city was considered an all-American city. 2022, we're an all-bar city. This has got to stop. Let's raise the bar. Let's modify
Thank
our
you,
rules,
ma'am.
our codes.
Hi, I'm Teresa Tinnerman, and I've been a resident for 60 years in the city of Downey. Your mom is my boss, and I'm a nurse. I have worked in the city of Downey and worshiped in the city of Downey, raised my family in the city of Downey. And I appreciate how you've honored women tonight, but I find it very hypocritical for what you're doing by inviting a bar like this into our community. At the same time,
Let her speak.
that
Sorry.
you are honoring women. I find that very hypocritical. the work that the generations of women before us in the city of Downey to make this beautiful, safe, and a place of honor. You are tearing it down with one sweep, and I'm ashamed of you. So please, do all you can to prevent this. We are doing what we can. Teach us what we need to do more to prevent this from coming and ruining the women of our city.
Good evening. The reason that the situation in Downey is getting to the way it is because this town is being ran by Downey Democrats and Downey Progressive Democrats, and they are sitting on this city council up here. So don't be too naive and think that some of them are going to grandstand and come to your aid to think they're going to stop the nudie bar with you over here. Just tell them you don't like the crap that goes with the Ojos Locos bar. That's all you've got to say. Since the Downey Democrats run this place, I'd like to acknowledge and see if we can get any volunteers to stand up publicly and endorse the recall of George Gascon. Not one of these people has endorsed the recall of George Gascon publicly. And we would like to see that, a public statement from any one of you. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good
My name
evening.
is Victoria Smith. I have a number of issues. First of all, I want to say that I was raised here my entire life. I love this city, and I chose to stay. When so many left over the years, we bought a house in Orange County, and every time I went there, it made me cry. So we stayed in Downey. I told my kids, we're in Downey because on every block, you know someone that if you're in trouble, you could run to their house and knock on the door, and they would help you. I want my city to continue for the next generation, as it has been, as it was for me, as it was for my children. With that, I also oppose Locos, Ocos, or whatever, however you say it. But I wanted to bring up the banners on Downey Avenue. They are unsightly. The dividers on Downey Avenue, it's time to have them come down.
Sorry, time's up.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Downey. Dear City Council members and committee members, first I talk about vaccines. CDC has stated it is myth that mRNA vaccine change DNA, but research proved that mRNA vaccine change DNA. So I hope that you may be aware new technology vaccine is not fully known and is personal choice. And secondly, regarding the recent local store, I don't know what's the exact name, but it is result of losing the value of foundation of family. LGBTQ, you need to remember, last year, Downey praised of LGBTQ. I'm not against people with LGBTQ, but praising about LGBTQ by city is distorting each personal belief, especially for young people, especially children. If you want to encourage people interest, other personal interest, especially the majority support. As a rainbow is the symbol of God's promise.
Sorry, sir. Time's up.
Hi, my name is Deborah. I've lived in Downey just a short time, but I made a very big mistake, and that mistake was in not voting. I know now I am going to vote. I am going to find out the backgrounds of each and every single one of anybody who is voted into office.
Please let her speak.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I'm going to start doing my homework, and my friends agree with me. We're going to be much, much more careful because you knew what Ojos Locos was. We didn't know until the reporter put these pictures into the paper. Thank you.
Thank you. So if I can ask everybody, if you want to applaud, it takes away from their time because then they pause. So if you can applaud them after they're done with their comments, so that way we could hear them, it would help us. So please, you can applaud, but wait until they finish.
Good evening. My name is Jose Alvarez, and I just want to agendize the following. Number one, the city of Downey buys back this property, and this is regarding Ojos Locos bar. The city of Downey buys back this property and does not allow Ojos Locos to open so close to schools. Number two, city council issue a declaration that it does not approve of Ojos Locos close to our schools. Number three, city council create an ordinance that any bars and restaurants within a close radius to our schools are not allowed to have happy hour until 5 p.m. Number four, it is if this bar succeeds in opening, children under 18 are not allowed inside without a supervising adult or guardian. Number five, if this bar succeeds in opening, it must maintain 4 security guards every day and all hours.
Time's up, sir. Thank you.
Alicia, sorry.
Oh, just a second. Just a second. Sorry. Okay.
This is my first time walking in here, but I see that everybody has concerns, and stopping a restaurant is not going to stop the problem. I know in time it will, but only if you come together. Okay, so that said, I just want to say thank you for all of you for doing a great job, and I know it's not that easy trying to represent people with different opinions and different beliefs, but you're staying firm, and I think that's very important for me to tell you. Don't give up, and just remember that, the constitutional, oversees everything. That the constitutional rights of people is always going to win out. And I know that it's very tough to make decisions based on that, especially we're a country that continues to push forward and your city to push forward. So always look at the Constitution as your guide, right? And sometimes making the right decision can look wrong. So if the people want to stop, just work together.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I say.
Hi, good evening. I'm Diane Sanchez, and Ojos Locos has a very ugly reputation. And it's, how did it get this far is my question. You're our voice, and you've allowed it to get this far. And by the way, simply modifying a dress code, if you can even get them to agree, doesn't suffice because their reputation has been already established. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Eves. I grew up in Downey since I was 3. I'm almost 62 now. I own 2 homes and commercial property, so I am a stakeholder in this community, right? I happen to live by a bar, right? And it has a dress code, but you have the woohoo girls that come out at one. I go to work at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So at 11 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night when they're closing, you get the woohoo girls that are making noise, and then the speed racers up and down the street. Not only do I get that, but I get their trash because people don't want to valet. They come on my street and trash the street. Until we get control of those bars, how can we put more bars in, right? And my dad owned a bar in Downey for, I think, almost 50 years, right? So I'm well acquainted with bars, but they don't have to be a distraction and they don't have to be trashy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Dubois-Fording. I've lived in Downey for 30 years with my 5 boys. None of them gone to jail. All of them good boys. I moved in Downey for a reason. Like a lot of people in Downey, we moved in for the school district. We have our own school district. We have our own fire department. We have our own police department. We have our own library. Other cities don't have that. We have Tempo. We know from Tempo that my son that walks home from school at 5 o'clock gets a good look of what bar life is. I don't want that. It's dirty. We have it. We know it. We know what we don't want in Downey. This restaurant wants to come in. I'm good with that. They want it just the way they want. I'm good with that. We just can't have it by school. The area is wrong. We learned from Tempo. We can't have it where the kids are getting out of school, getting out of football, getting out of cheerleading, and there. We have to make a change. We have to make it better. We need businesses in Downey. We need to make money in Downey. I want to pay less taxes. We just have to do better than we're doing now. There has to be stuff imposed to stop it. And that Herman dude, that's old. Listening to his stuff,
Sorry. And I agree about Mr. Herman, so I agree.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Paula Mejia, and I'm a Downey resident for going on 28 years already. And I sympathize with all the concerns, all the people about the Ojos Locos, but I'm here tonight what I believe is even more important and concern issue, because this will affect residents in our area, Area 2, the roundabout that most of you probably hear about, which I believe is number one, unsafe and waste of money for residents. So I hope that you can do one. Thank you. Okay, so, well, I'm here because I'm very concerned. I've been living in Downey for almost 28 years now. I moved here because of the district and nice city and everything, but right now there's so much going on, but I'm here to...
Sorry, the time's up.
Pardon me?
It goes by really quick, the time's up.
That was only like 20 seconds or less.
It was a minute. You paused it?
Yeah. So I have to start all over again.
Sorry, that's not, sorry. It wouldn't be fair for everybody else.
They didn't hear my comment. It's very important. I'm here to raise the concern about the roundabout.
I'll give a warning. I can talk to you about it later.
Yeah, but I want to make sure the whole city, not just you, Ms. Mayor.
Later.
Okay,
Yeah, you have my
we'll
number.
talk. And
Call me.
please, everybody, pay attention on that roundabout. It's very unsafe.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carlos Arvizu, and we've been here for about 38 years. My wife and I, well, she's been talking about moving out of here. I kind of like the city, but I don't like the way it's been going. You got a meat market over there on Downey Avenue, just north of Firestone. And now you want to bring it out more over on the where the old Denny's was. You know, we've got a school that's just a block away, and we got a senior citizen complex just down the street on Dolan. And you know, it's not fair for you guys to be whitewash this thing through. You guys knew about this stuff way before we did. We caught it in the newspaper. But like I said, on the wall, there's placards. The one thing that's missing is protect us, the citizens. You know, we don't need any more meat markets.
Time's up, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Teresa Espinoza, and I'm a resident here in Downey, and I have been a teacher for 33 years. I have dedicated my life to teaching the pillars of character and being the best citizen that I can be in this community, which is what I'm asking you please to be. Every day before I leave my house, I ask, what can I do for our community? How can I make it better? What can I do to help? So I volunteer in the city and the library. I volunteer for the Downey cleanups. I do everything that I can do, and I raised a child who is also a good citizen and who admires you, Mayor Pacheco. And so for me to hear you say that you are speaking up for women and going to conferences to advocate for women breaks my heart, because I feel that you're not being sincere, because your actions are not representing what you're saying. And I know that my son would be very disappointed if he found out the things that are going on. So I'm asking you, Mayor Pacheco, to reflect tonight when you go home. Please, thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Janice. I've been here a long time in Downey. What I would like you to consider is that the traffic on Firestone Boulevard will draw accidents. Not at that time when they're going to be, it says in the paper, but it'll be attraction for the downhill of things. And Downey Avenue has not been upgraded to family like I thought it was going to be. My husband and I will go to the other restaurants during the weekday, but not during the weekend. So I would ask you to consider that. Consider the rehab place and the seniors on Dolan. And I'll be looking for the answers in the paper. And thank you, Mr. Trujillo, for your work trying to come against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name's Angelica Hernandez, and we've been residents of Downey for 27 years now. I'm going to make this quick. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, police officers, Downey PD. You do an amazing job. Keep it up. Don't stop. I had a friend tell me one day, since the Promenade restaurant's open and drinking, there's alcohol involved, and she said, "Oh my God, you can't even have a drink there because the police officers are there." You know what? Thank you for being there. We want to keep ordinance in our city. Thank you for all, a job well done. And as far as the Ojos Locos, you have no respect to all the previous, I want to say, like Dr. Stauffer, may she rest in peace. And all this, this restaurant, where the location, like the gentleman said, right over the tracks, old folks, disrespecting the elders. High school, you can literally see the parking lot, the high school parking lot. You could have avoided this by not approving that liquor license.
Hi, my name is Brenda Street. I've been a resident of Downey for 33 years. I've been a member and volunteer of Keep Downey Beautiful for 15 years. And I ask you, are we not supposed to keep Downey beautiful? To keep Downey beautiful, I believe we do not let this restaurant come in, because we are already at this point dealing with enough crime and different things that's going on in this city. We bring in this restaurant and we will have even more to deal with. As I said, I've been here for 33 years. I'm to the point now, and my home is paid for. I'm blessed to have my home paid for. And I'm to the point now that I want to sell my home and move. I want to go to Pasadena, because I'm tired of seeing what's here and what is yet to possibly come. It's just not going to be a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Diane Miraz. I've been here for over 18 years. I just want to say shame on those of you that voted for this bar, not restaurant, to open, and those of you that did not vote for it, I applaud you. I want to ask you, soon after this opens, because most likely it will, we've already lost because you've allowed it. When is the strip bar going to open? Because that's what will be next, and you guys will approve it. And I say shame on you, because we are a community, and you should have really, really thought long and hard. I don't know why it was allowed, who made the final decisions, but we know that it's here. We know it's going to open. And we are all here defending our rights to protect and keep our community nice and safe and doable. There are so many other options that you guys could have chosen for that Denny's location.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question first. Are you going to let Mr. Martinez in to speak, to give his public comment?
Please complete your comments.
Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay, so the video record will be nicely reviewed, I'm sure, by the attorneys. Okay, so then he actually called me a few minutes ago, so asking me to ask some questions on his behalf. So I'd like to ask the question. The first question has to do with the city manager. Mr. Martinez would like to know if it's true that apparently the rumor is that you're bringing in the El Monte city manager. So he's concerned about that. And if it's not the El Monte city manager, he's asking if it's anyone affiliated with your employer, OMLO. Also, does the former mayor, Fernando Vasquez, have anything to do with it? And he's very concerned about number 12, the destruction of public records. So he would like not to go forward. On the main topic of the night, no to ojos locos. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'd like to make one additional comment.
Sorry, once everybody has made a comment, that's it. But anybody else who has not had an opportunity to speak, is there anybody else? Okay.
Okay, move to close public comment.
Is there a second? Okay, public comment period now closed. Okay, so I know a lot of you are here waiting. We're going to we're going to go over to the consent calendar so that way the concerns can be addressed. So I just want to, again, thank you all for being here. A lot of you did do a really good job at 1 minute. It was really painful for me to have you stop, because I don't like doing that. It's not in my nature to do it, so it was really difficult for me to have you stop. But to keep things orderly, to have everybody heard, it was important for me to stop you. So I apologize for doing that.
So that would be item 13.
We're
I would recommend that the council pull that from the consent calendar at this time, and then we will have the city prosecutor come up to the podium and respond to many of the questions that we received.
So if everybody could please hold off, people that are walking out, if you want to hear the city prosecutor, or if they're going outside. Okay, can I please have the city prosecutor come on up? Our city prosecutor will be addressing item number 13, regulations establishing business attire for food handlers in restaurants and bars.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So perhaps I can do a dual-fold thing to kind of respond to what the council's intentions were with respect to this, which is to...
Jim, if you want to move the portable mic closer to you.
This one? Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Perhaps what I can do is bifurcate the discussion right now, as our audience has, in separating out the concerns that everybody's raised, which is really primarily dealing with a particular business, versus the issue that is contained within item 13, which is really an ordinance, which applies to more than just the business. There seems to be a misconception by the public right now about the role that staff and the city council have had with respect to ojos locos. And so just to clarify that, the business that is intending to move in and operate at the previous Denny's location, Ojos Locos, was not something that was approved by the city council. It was not something that was set for city council vote. This was a matter that was, it's a business that is allowed by right at the location. They were required to get 2 approvals by the city. One, as we discussed at the previous council meeting, one was a site plan review, which was put before the Planning Commission, which is really just a review of the actual development of the location. I believe it was for an enlargement of the location, of the physical structure. And the other issue was for an entertainment, a CUP to provide entertainment at the location. Those were the sole issues that were before the Planning Commission. Short of that, the business is otherwise allowed to operate by right at that location.
I'll stop you there. Jim, Mr. Martinez came back into the chambers. He was asked to be removed. He left, and now he's entered into the chambers. I would advise the mayor to, again, direct the city manager to ask the chief of the captain to get the PD to ask him to leave.
City Manager Olivas, can we please have our Sergeant at Arms please remove Mr. Martinez?
Captain Baker, if you could please, Mr. Martinez.
And we'll recess while they're doing that.
We will take. We will now reconvene our council meeting.
So as I indicated, the two things that were actually subject to city approval, one was the site plan, which was for the enlargement of the structure at the location, and two was an entertainment, a CUP for an entertainment, the right to have entertainment at the location. It was not for the dress, it was not for the service of alcohol. None of that was actually subject to city approval. Those are allowed by right. The ordinance that's being proposed is a way that the city is actually trying to control some of the issues that are being presented by this location. And in so doing, we obviously are trying to ensure that we comply with any type of First Amendment protections that there may be. We believe that the ordinance does do that. It would be applicable in order to address a lot of the concerns that the citizens have voiced tonight, as well as on other nights related to the dress of this location. And going back to something that Councilmember Trujillo indicated at the last meeting, we know the allegations and assertions that have been raised relating to this business at their other properties, their other operations in other states. What was presented by the attorney for this business is that this location in Downey would operate differently, that the dress that the waiters and waitresses, or primarily waitresses, would be wearing at this location would not be the same that has been depicted on social media with respect to the other locations. Whether or not that ultimately ends up to be true, I do not know. I can't speak for them. All we can say is that when the city does review these things, the city has to presume that someone's going to come in and comply with the laws that we set forth, with the permits that are issued, and with the restrictions that are imposed as part of those laws and regulations and permits. In this particular instance, the city's going a step further and mandating a business attire dress code for food establishments. One of the members of the public indicated earlier, if we can get them to go along with it, if we can get them to agree with it, this would not be something that they are subject to agreement on. That is, the dress code that is being imposed as part of this ordinance would be mandatory, and violations of that dress code by this business, by any of the employees of this business, would be subject to administrative fines, would be subject to revocations of permits and entitlements that they have, including of their business license, which would effectively require the business to shut down. But this is one of those instances where, again, because the business is permitted by right, other than the entertainment CUP that they've obtained, and they would still be required to get an entertainment permit from the police department. But subject to that, it is the belief that these things would be, that this business would actually operate in compliance with the laws that are set forth. And if they don't, then the city will have remedies in order to deal with those violations. I'm not sure if the council had any specific questions relating to the ordinance itself, or to any of the other comments that I had, or if the council wished me to respond to any other concerns that the public addressed, but obviously I'm here and happy to do that.
Do my council colleagues have any questions? Councilmember Trujillo?
I do have some questions, Madam Mayor. So if I understand this correctly now, are you familiar with the Hooters establishment, sir?
I am familiar with the business, yes.
Hooters restaurant, right? There's apparently one in Southgate.
There's one in Southgate, one in Long Beach, one in Costa Mesa. There are quite a few.
Okay. So just to clarify for our residents, what the business model in California would be, and I believe this is their first.
Are you talking about Hooters or are you talking about Ojos Locos?
Ojos Locos, thank you.
It's the first one in California.
So they've done this business in Texas with the same name, and we've seen how they dress the young ladies. But they're saying that's not what we're doing in Downey. It's the cheerleader outfit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So they've agreed no lingerie.
That is correct.
And if a Hooters wanted to come to Downey, could we stop them? Hooters.
If the Hooters wanted to come into this exact same space, it would be subject to the exact same regulations that Ojos Locos would be.
Is that a no? We could not stop them legally?
You could not stop them from opening up at this location, no.
Hooters.
Hooters.
And so similarly, your opinion, based on the legal analysis, there's nothing legally we can do to stop Ojos Locos with the cheerleader uniform.
Under the current set of laws that we have now.
Okay.
What about an environmental?
Sorry,
Okay.
sir.
Has there been any discussions with General Counsel for Ojos Locos about possibly choosing another location in the city where they could launch their cheerleader with this version of Ojos Locos? Any discussions going on about moving them?
I have not had any such discussions. I don't know if staff has had any such discussions, but I have not.
I'll
Okay.
do you want the city manager leave us to respond to that, or?
Yes, I want the residents to know what we've been doing. I know there's been certain meetings and I want the residents to understand, there's an owner of the property who leased his property to the tenant, which is Ojos Locos. So there's a legal contract, is my understanding, between the owner and Ojos Locos. Ojos Locos has a 10-year lease that they can renew for an additional 10 years. So we're calling it basically a 20-year lease. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
So if we wanted to work out a solution which is like, okay, we can't stop you from coming in and dressing, the young ladies like in this cheerleader uniform, which is.
Well, that we can, and that's the purpose of
Sorry.
item 13.
Yes. But I would like for us to engage in communications with them about working up some sort of agreement where they would at least go somewhere else that's not so close to the school. So if we could engage in those conversations, and maybe our city manager could speak to that. Thank you.
In anticipation of that, we actually reached out to them, our community development director reached out to them to try to see if there was a way to broker them going to another location, right? We figured with all the resident uproar that they may want to voluntarily say goodbye. Hey, this isn't a good place for us to go, and we would welcome that. And so you have a contract between the owner of the property and the tenant. So we're, trying to encourage both parties to come up with a means to find another location. So we have reached out to Ojos Locos to initiate discussions with them, to try to find a way to have them move forward and move somewhere else. So that is something that we are continuing to do, and we will continue to do that. So, and we have also reached out to the owner of the property as well to encourage them to see if there's another use that we would support as well. So we are talking to both of those. Again, I know that many of you have pointed to the council, and the council did not have this item before them to vote on. So none of these members up here voted on this particular project. So anyway, you can continue. I'm sorry.
Sorry, was there anything further, Councilmember Trujillo?
No
Councilmember
further
Frometa?
questions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I just wanted to, again, for clarification purposes, I wanted to echo and add on to what my council colleague just stated. Again, when you have a situation, an owner of a property that has looked at another use for that particular property, and he or she has, gone out or has, made this lease, this is something that, while we are not happy about, from a city standpoint, as the city prosecutor has just pointed out, We cannot prevent a business from coming to our city and opening up. That is not something that cities do. That is called free enterprise. We are just as upset as you are for the same reasons that you've mentioned. I too have 3 daughters at Downey High. And the what has already been established in Texas and in other states as far as the criminality and the behavior, those are very concerning issues for us as well. That is one of the reasons the last council meeting, we discussed the zoning, and what was permitted by the Planning Commission was that DJ type of entertainment. The type of entertainment that the Texas location and others has is a very different license that our current zone allows for. That is not, the adult entertainment type permit. And City Manager, if you would like to elaborate more, I really want the community to understand we are not happy about this, and we want to continue to have the conversations as the City Manager has had with the owner of the property, and also with these with Ojos Locos to move their business elsewhere. However, go ahead and elaborate.
All those things are accurate. So, as Councilmember Fermento said, we are not happy with this particular business. We get it. But we can control what we can control. And one of the things that we can control, and it's on the agenda tonight, is the dress attire. And in addition to that, their approvals required over 40 different restrictions. So this business, for all intents and purposes, is a very different business from the one in Texas. Now, one of the things also in here is that if they step out of bounds one time, we can revoke their business license, which actually closes them down.
Correct.
One time. So it is there, and our police are aware of it. Our code enforcement is aware of it. So what we did is we had a situation we're not crazy about, but we put some guardrails around it as much as possible and allowed this thing to have the controls that we need in order to make sure that it complies with the things that we want to do. So this quote-unquote cute cheerleader outfit is not permitted under this ordinance. It's not permitted. So we really sort of clamped down. Any of the lingerie stuff, any of that stuff is not going. There's 40 restrictions on this business, and we're going to keep an eye on it. And there isn't a first offense, a second offense, or third offense. There's zero tolerance on this one. So if it doesn't happen, then the license can be revoked by the city. That's the control that we can have right now, today, and that's based on, quite frankly, this council and you working together and hearing your comments to put these restrictions in place.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Right? So it's there. So it's there. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're all going to keep an eye on it, and we're going to make sure they comply. Because we're at this point where there is a zero tolerance for anything that would vary from this particular ordinance. So this ordinance tonight is extremely important that it passes so that we can have oversight on this site. So this site is not going to be Texas site. This is going to be Downey site under the Downey ordinance, under the watchful eyes of the Downey City Council and the Downey Police Department and the Downey Planning Department. So we'll keep an eye on it, and certainly if they get out of line, they'll be hauled right here in front of you all to make sure that they comply or they're out of here.
That's right.
If I could,
So, is there any other comments from my council colleagues? Any other questions? I did have sorry, did you have a?
I would just like to ask, there's been many of you have reached out to me with several questions. I've tried to call or email you back, as many of you as I could. I would like to know from you, your opinion, if this is now, we understand, a Hooters, more like of a Hooters situation, how do you feel about Hooters being somewhere else, but still in our city? If I could just gauge that, send me your opinions. My email, mtrujillo, I'm sorry, I can't do it here, mtrujillo@downeyca.org. I want to hear from you. We can engage in a conversation there. How do you feel? I mean, in a way, it's a win. The fact that the young ladies aren't going to be dressed in lingerie serving chicken wings, But I'm still curious where the community's at. I want to take temperature because I value your opinion. So please let me know. Thank you.
So I did have a couple of other questions. So this item did not come before the city council, but it came before the planning commission. Could the planning commissioners have said, ojos locos, you cannot enter the city?
No. The only thing that was before them was, again, the site development, which means they could have said, okay, we won't allow you to expand the size of the building, but they would have been able to operate within the same footprint of the the Denny's location. And two, they could have potentially said no entertainment at all. But it would not have prevented the location from, or the business from opening and operating at the location.
What exactly was approved at
As-
the planning commission?
The site development, which would be the expansion of the physical footprint of the building, and entertainment in the form of a DJ.
And one of the conditions was not to have special events?
That's correct. And just to be aware that the depictions of the ladies in lingerie, according to the business, that occurs at special events. It's not their daily attire, it's their special event attire. And those things are not allowed pursuant to the CUP that was issued by the Planning Commission.
And then if I remember correctly, just to reiterate what's in the staff report, the ordinance would not allow these waitresses to show their midriff. There has to be a certain line, or they cannot show cleavage, and then their skirt has to be a certain length. Is that correct?
That is correct. Which would, in essence, prohibit not only the lingerie and swimsuits and G-strings and all the other stuff that is depicted in their special events, but would also not allow for the cheerleader-type outfit that they're proposing as their regular daily wear.
And in case residents have any questions about this, so we're able to revoke their license, business license. Do we have the capabilities of denying a business from coming into the city and denying their business license? Or do we only have the right to revoke it once they've violated something?
There is limited authority to deny a business license. I don't believe that there's any grounds in this particular instance to deny the business license at this point.
But like our city manager mentioned, we do have the right to revoke it if they do violate some of the terms of their CUP.
That's correct. If they were to violate the conditions of their CUP, or more importantly, the attire ordinance that would be considered and hopefully adopted by the council tonight, if they violate that, then that would lead them to be subject to a business license revocation. Without the business license, they can't operate in the city.
And then maybe this is a staff question, but when was the last time we heard from Ojos Locos as to their intention of whether they're going to come to Downey or not?
I believe we spoke with them earlier yesterday or today.
Monday of this week.
Yeah. So we've been in communication with them.
And I don't know if other people have heard, but I think somebody at the site said that Ojos Locos was not planning on coming to the city.
That's
Is there
not
any
accurate.
truth to that?
No.
Okay.
I just have one more question, Madam Mayor. How, for the residents, I know that's one of their number one question is, how are we going to regulate their attire? How are we going to regulate and enforce what the guardrails and what we're discussing, it's going to be in place?
The regulation would be the law itself. Okay, so assuming that the council adopts this ordinance tonight, it goes into effect in 30 days, that would be the regulation itself. As far as the enforcement, my understanding is primarily that would be the duty of the code enforcement department. And in certain instances, the police department would be involved as well, especially if they're already at the location responding to any other type of nuisance behavior or other stuff that might be going on at the location.
So daily visits, weekly visits, just.
I would say that once they open up, that we will be out there pretty regularly, making sure that they comply, and then making sure on an ongoing basis, making site visits to make sure that they're complying.
And I will add that, if your constituents out here, everybody that's come in and voiced their opinion, not only tonight, but over the last several weeks, continue to voice that opinion to the business itself, that gets back to what Councilmember Trujillo was asking about 2 weeks ago, which is what else can the residents do in order to try and prevent this? So the city's doing what it can do in order to try and regulate this type of business, because under our current laws, we can't straight out prohibit the business from coming in. But obviously, if the public continues with their outcry, if you will, and displeasure and display that to the business itself, the business may consider other alternatives given the economics of it and the the commerce that they may not have the audience or the patrons that they may be looking for.
So that leads me to my next question. I'm sure that Ojos Locos knows that the community does not want them here, correct?
It's my
Yes,
understanding
that's
that
correct.
Ojos Locos was actually, the attorney for Ojos Locos was actually on Zoom or virtually listening to the council meeting 2 weeks ago. And during the discussions that we've had, it's my understanding that, yes, they're aware of it.
Yes.
And what do they say about it? Do they not care, or what do they have to say?
Well, their response is what we've heard tonight is you're not going to get the Texas model. You're going to get a model that complies with the operating conditions and the ordinances going into place if it passes tonight.
Okay. Sorry, no. Is there anything else from council colleagues?
I don't have any more.
No?
Thank you, Jim.
So at this time, Mayor and Council,
Ma'am,
if there are
we
no
have to
other-
proceed with the business.
If there are no other questions, then it would be appropriate to take action, make a motion to adopt the ordinance
I make a
regulating the business attire for food handlers.
Okay, is there a
Make a
second?
motion.
Can I please have everybody vote?
Aye.
Is that,
We're only voting on that one specific
Yes,
item?
yes.
Okay. I need to change, we have the.
We can take a roll call vote too, if it makes it easier.
Roll call
I
will be
can-
fine.
I can start it. The motion is approved unanimously.
Okay, thank you. And this again would be to adopt an ordinance establishing, which would be a regulation establishing business attire for food handlers in restaurants and bars.
So after tonight's action, the ordinance will take effect in 30 days. Okay?
And this would actually apply to all restaurants and wouldn't just apply to Ojos Locos. It would apply to every restaurant here in the city of Downey.
Correct.
So,
That's correct.
again, I want to acknowledge and thank all of you. I know it was a little difficult because everybody was only given 1 minute to speak. You have Councilmember Trujillo's email. My email address is bpacheco@downeyca.org. So you can always send me an email, and that way I can, respond to you. And I apologize that I couldn't allow you to speak longer, but we do have a lengthy agenda. So again, I want to thank you all for participating in today's council meeting. Okay,
Do you want to go, you going to go to the public hearing? Or are you going to?
we'll take a quick recess in case anybody wants to leave. Okay, we'll take the public hearing.
Thank you. Same calendar.
We'll take the public hearing.
Señor Gobernador, we love that. The last time we invited to go to the Rivera Sports, they had a festival.
We will now reconvene the city council meeting. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Final public hearing to receive input from the community regarding the draft map for election, district boundaries, and introduction of ordinance. 1, conduct the fourth and final public hearing to discuss and receive public input on the draft map for district boundaries and discuss the election sequence, and introduce ordinance number 22, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Downey amending Downey Municipal Code Section 2103 regarding by-district elections, adjusting the boundaries of city council election districts and confirming such revised council district boundaries as reflected in the attached map. The hour having arrived, the public hearing is now open. The time is now 9:04 p.m. City Clerk Duarte, do we have proof of posting?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
Can I have a motion and a second to receive and file the posting?
Second.
Can I have everyone please vote?
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. City Manager Rivas, do we have a staff report?
Madam Mayor, I believe we have Vanya de Rojas. Well, yes, there she is. I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. I'll be coming forward to give us a presentation on this. This is, if I believe, this is our fourth public hearing on this?
This is correct. It's our fourth and final public hearing regarding Downey's restricting process. The purpose of tonight's meeting, as already mentioned by the mayor, is to continue to receive public input regarding the draft map of district boundaries and election sequencing, as well as introduce an ordinance to amend the Downey Municipal Code Section 2103 regarding by-district elections and adjust the new proposed boundaries. This public hearing was properly noticed on the city's website as required by law. Additionally, similar to previous public hearings, city staff conducted public outreach by way of print and digital advertisement. Further, a Spanish interpreter has been available at each meeting, and in compliance with the ADA, the city has provided reasonable accommodations when there was a request that was made. As of today, there has not been any draft maps received from the public, and the city has received 6 community of interest comments. After the adoption of this ordinance, the new district boundaries, staff will be working on an educational campaign to update the city website and notify residents through social media and other avenues regarding the district changes. It is recommended the city council receive public input for this fourth public hearing and introduce the ordinance pertaining to the 2021 restricting process. That concludes staff report, and the staff is available to answer any questions that you may have.
I'd had a question, or I wanted to see if we could share the map, so that way residents can see exactly what the new district will look like.
I don't know if we have that available. Yeah. So it's Exhibit 1 of the ordinance that is attached to the agenda. So the city clerk will be bringing that up momentarily.
Yes. Right here. There we go.
From what I see, District 1 will now cover the Hall Road section. Hall Road, all the way up to the railroad tracks.
That is correct. There's two major changes that are occurring in the map. So the first one is if you looked at District 3, the very top portion, it's now going to Paramount Boulevard. So you see that small section, it's about 1,900 households or residents. And then the second one, as you mentioned, is that portion that goes from District 4 into now District 1 by the railroad, and that's about 2,000 residents. So it's about an even change there.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure everybody had a visual. Are there any other questions or comments from my council colleagues? No? All right, I will now open this item up for public comment. City Clerk Duarte, have you received any written correspondence to be read into the record?
Mayor, we have not.
I will now open up to anybody here who would like to make a comment as to this public hearing item. Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion in a second to close public hearing. Oh, sorry.
I just had a question. How does the rearranging help citizens, and how does it help you guys?
I'm going to go ahead and have Vanya answer that. But essentially what it does is it makes sure that there's equal population in each of the districts. That's really the main thing. And so when you have equal population, you have equal representation on the council. That's the bottom line.
So what had to happen is in District 1, it was found that we needed to increase the residents in that district so that way it could be about equal in each different district. So in District 1, we had to pick up residents, and there were too many residents over in District 3. So then it went up. District 1 got from captured residents from District 4, and then District 4 went over to District 3 to capture some of those residents. I don't know if Vanya has anything to add.
Just to provide a little more background, so how this information is arrived to the city is through the census. So every 10 years a census is done, which is why it's very critical for individuals to participate. So after that information is provided, the city is able to make this determination of how to evenly distribute the different districts. It's also looking at other items like demographics as well, and there's a number of different criteria that we have to meet for Fair Maps Act that's done by the state. So that's how we get to the information, and then by law, we have to adjust according to the census information.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, I also wanted to ask Vanya to provide, what is, again, the percentage that we need to be within in terms of being equal within all districts? And again, to provide this information for our residents, if you have that. I think I believe it's within 2%. You can.
Yes, that is correct. It's within 2%. So the changes that are occurring are in line within those percentages. So 1.56 for District 1 and 1.68 for District 3 is the change. So like I mentioned, it's an even change between the two and creates the evenness across the districts.
Thank you. Seeing that there's no other speakers, I will now entertain a motion and second to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second, so ordered by the mayor, and that time is now 9:12 p.m. And then unless there's any other comments from the council, I will entertain a motion and second to introduce the ordinance.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, City Clerk Duarte, can we have everyone vote, please?
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. And now is the time for consent calendar items, the remaining consent calendar items. Are there any council members that would like to remove or abstain from any item on the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar?
Make a motion.
Actually, I'm sorry. On item number 6, I just wanted to clarify, I don't
good.
believe I have an interest, right?
You're good.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion, a second to
So
approve?
moved.
And there's a second. City Clerk Duarte, can we take a vote, please?
Yes, Mayor. Motion is approved unanimously.
Okay, thank you. The next items are administrative reports. There are 4 administrative reports this evening. Number 18 is options for filling the council vacancy for District 2 for the unexpired term. City Manager Rivas, is there a staff report?
That particular staff report I'm going to hand over to our city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mayor, and Council. Tonight I present this particular item following the resignation of Sean Ashton from his seat in District 2. That seat is now vacant. And so tonight I present to the council 2 options for dealing with that vacancy. As you can see in the staff report, the 2 options are either appoint an eligible successor for the remainder of the term, which is between now and November, or make no appointment and leave the seat vacant until that seat is up for election in November. So it's either make an appointment or leave the seat vacant and make no appointment. I think the staff report was pretty self-explanatory about if you were to decide to go through the process of filling the seat by making an appointment, there is a process and there's a deadline. So the deadline to make the appointment is May 13th. So if you were to take this particular option, we'd have to move forthwith quickly, because you only have 60 days, and the 60 days already started running when Mr. Ashton tendered his resignation on March 14th. So that 60-day clock has already started. So we would need to get direction tonight and start that process of the appointment. And then the process itself is really more akin to a job interview. We typically, most cities will put together an application. I put a draft application form attached to this staff report to give you an example of what kind of application for those who are interested in filling the seat would fill out if they were interested in being appointed or considered for the appointment. And then following that, we would open it up for a period of time based on my proposed schedule, like 2 weeks, could be a little longer if you'd like. But we'd open it up and get applications, solicit applications. We'd make it available on our website. We'd publicize it on our social media, et cetera. And then once the application period closes, the city clerk will verify eligibility for those applicants to be considered for the appointment. And the eligibility is that they're over 18, that they are registered to vote and live in District 2. And so the city clerk would verify that and then forward the applications to you. And then you would all review them individually and then decide who you wanted to interview. If you wanted to do an interview, we'd do an interview process. All of this is done in open session with the ability of the public to comment at the end of the interviews. Following that, the council would then schedule a time to deliberate about the applicants and make an appointment. And we would need to do all of that before the May 13th deadline. So that's, in a nutshell, what that process would take, would look like. If you did not want to fill the seat, then really no actions necessary. No actions necessary tonight. So we're really interested in whether the council wants to give direction to city staff to initiate the appointment process. With that, I think I'll stop there, and if the council has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I turn it over to you, Madam Mayor, and the council to discuss it.
Okay, are there any questions?
I do.
Yes.
I have a question. Madam City Attorney, for the record, would you elaborate? Would you tell us, in Downey's history, how many appointments have there been made and how that process has gone about? And when was the most recent appointment, if there has been?
So in researching the item, there was two instances where there was a vacancy and then an appointment. The first one was, it looks like in around 1992, Richard Carter, a council member, had resigned, and Barbara J. Riley was appointed to fill out the rest of his term.
And who was Barbara J. Riley?
She was a very well-respected former council member and long-term resident here in Downey. And she ran and became a council member after she was appointed to serve this seat. She did run and become a council member for about 7 years. And then she retired, and then there was another vacancy around early 2000s. And it looks like the council just thought it would be a good idea, since she was experienced. She had no interest in running for that vacant seat, to appoint her to fill out the rest of that term. And the election then happened, and a new successor was elected. And so she filled in for that time period.
So both times was
That's
Barbara
correct.
J. Riley?
That is correct.
Interesting. And how long did she serve? How long were those vacancies?
She served, let's see, if you give me a moment. She served 7 years as a council member, and then she filled the term for about about 5 to 6 months. So 7.5 years total serving as a council member, either as an appointee or an elected council member. So 7.5 years.
No, but my question was, what was the vacancy? How long was the vacancy, and how long did she serve for that time?
It looks like both vacancies were about 6 months, 5 to 6 months. It was no longer than that, because there was an upcoming general election. So it looks like she served about 6 months.
And I think my other question would be, City Attorney, and again, considering we haven't had something like this to consider since the early 2000s, what are the pros and cons of an appointment? I mean, that there is precedence that has been done in Downey's history. But again, what are the pros and cons for that?
So if you didn't make an appointment, there'll be 4 of you. And there's a higher possibility that there would be a 2-2 split vote on items that require 3 council members to vote yes. For example, ordinances, resolutions, and the payment of money. Those actions require the affirmative vote of 3 council members. So if, in any given situation, if there was a 2-2 split, 2 yes, 2 no, those items could not move forward. They would not pass. But practically speaking, looking at the totality of all of your council agendas, I'm pretty confident that that won't happen here. I think you, for the most part, have agreed on most ordinances, resolutions, and orders for the payment of money. So I don't see that as a great risk. It is a risk in maybe some more contentious issues. However, I don't see that as being a constant problem for the council. And if there is a tie vote, it just requires the council to just work harder to come up with some compromises for issues. You'll have to hunker down here at the dais and talk to each other and see if you can come up with a compromise with those items you just can't seem to find agreement with. But for the most part, I don't see that as a great risk, that there'll be constant 2-2 splits and no business will be completed on your agenda.
And the pro for filling that vacancy?
The pro is, obviously, you'll have a full council, you'll have 5. If you find you fill that vacancy, you will be able to, you won't worry so much, there won't be that worry about a 2-2 split vote. You'll have the 3 votes will be there all, pretty much most of the time. You won't have the risk of having tie votes with 4 members on the council versus 5. So that is a pro. When you fill that vacancy, you have a full council, you don't have the risk of the tie votes.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Is there any other questions or comments? No? Okay. So I'll just go ahead and chime in. So on this item, if we do open it up and allow people to apply, we have to do it in open session, correct?
You would open up the application process via our social media and website platforms and invite applications, and then any interviews, any deliberations would be done in public. There's no closed session exemption for interviewing candidates or deliberating to fill a vacancy. Those are open session items.
Okay. Okay. No other questions, comments? No? Okay, is there I'll start off with, is there a motion to fill the vacancy for District 2?
I'll make a motion that we should open it up for an appointment, for us to consider an appointment. I don't think there's anything that says that we can change our mind later and opt not to appoint. So I would make a motion that we open it up and seek applications for us to consider making an appointment.
I will second that.
Okay. And before we go on, I just want to say, I think we should leave it vacant. I think we should leave it vacant because we're going to open up our council meetings. We're going to bring possibly more disruption. It will mean that we'll have to take sides. It may be difficult because there may be one person for one side, one person for the other side. And I just feel like the ones who should select who's going to represent them in District 2 should be the voters of District 2, and I have no right to dictate who that person should be. So my personal opinion is we should leave it up to the voters in District 2 for them to elect their representative come November, because there's a lot of chaos in the city, and it should be up to you, the voters. So I would say, let's leave it vacant until November.
Thank
But
you.
I'll leave it up to the council, so we can go ahead and take a vote. There's a motion and a second.
Well, and Madam Mayor, if I may, and for the record, this is definitely a difficult thing. I think as elected officials, we are elected to represent our residents and make decisions that are not always popular. But at the same time, and that's why I started my comment by asking our Madam City Attorney, is there any precedence? Has this occurred before? And how was that handled? And I think that while I tend to agree that, yes, the residents are the ones that vote people to these seats, I also believe that we have the ability for the next few months to appoint someone that can help us continue to move our city forward. There is a lot of disruption, and there could seem as if there is a lot of chaos. However, it is up to us as a council to be the calming voice of our residents and move our city in a uniting way. We will always disagree because that is just the nature of being human. And in November, somebody will officially occupy that seat. But having said that, there has been a couple of times before where the council has been faced with this difficult decision, and I think they've done the right thing. They appointed someone that the community respected, and someone like Barbara J. Riley, and our community center is named after, that did a fine job. And I have no doubt that together we can agree on appointing someone that will be unbiased and will work to be a strong and a good voice for our community and will be willing to work well with all of us.
My concern is that we all won't agree on who that person will be, and it will be very difficult, and we'll be subjecting the residents to more disagreements because we can't all agree. And so to prevent that from happening, that's why I say leave it vacant. But I do want to respect everybody's point of view, and I know everybody will be voting fairly soon, but that's my opinion. I don't want to subject our residents to more turmoil, especially when currently we're a council divided. So I just have everybody vote. And the motion is to fill the vacancy.
To start the process of filling the vacancy.
The motion to start the process to fill the vacancy is approved with Mayor Pacheco voting no.
Just a few other housekeeping matters for this item. On the last page of the staff report, there's a proposed schedule. What it does is it leaves the application period, the submittal for the application for 2 weeks, and it gives you another couple weeks to review the applications, and then we would do probably special meetings to do the interviews, do the interview process, prepare for the interviews, and then conduct the interviews during a special meeting. And then you would deliberate. And what I attempted to do here with this proposed schedule was to try to limit the number of meetings you would have as the four of you. So the May 3rd is where, May 3rd would be the time you would actually decide who you'd want to appoint. And that's a week before your next council meeting. So you would actually swear that person in on May 3rd, and then they're hitting the ground running the next week for the council meeting. So I try to limit the number of meetings where you only had when you were with the vacant seat. So if you want to take a look at that, I also would like some feedback, if there are any, with the draft application. This application I put together based on samples from South Pasadena, from Arcadia, Rancho Mirage, who all recently did fill vacancies on their council. And so I try to put the best application based on those samples, and this is what I came up with, but it is obviously council discretion as to if you'd like to make changes or add or delete some items.
Can we add if a potential applicant is interested in running for city council in November? Is that a potential, is that on here?
I think that would be like a good interview question, if you wanted to ask that. Rather than on the application, you really want to get to know the applicant. You want to know what his background or her background is. You want to know where they live, what their goals are. That's what we try to do with the questions here is, what is their, what do they see as the priorities? What civic or community involvement have they had? Getting to know the applicant is really the goal of the application. And then there's the interview questions, which that could be one of them if you wanted to ask. Do you intend to, run in November for this seat? You could ask that as a possible interview question. So that's what I would recommend is the application questions geared towards getting to know the applicant.
Okay. Thank you.
If you like the application the way it is, then we'll move forward with it. If there are if you want to make any changes to it, I'm happy to take that, but otherwise we'll just move with this draft.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In case we want to appoint someone and it comes to a vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the vote comes to 2-2, doesn't do anything?
Yes.
There's nothing further?
There's no appointment.
Okay.
You need 3 votes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, I think that concludes the item. If there's no other questions, this concludes the item.
Thank you. Next up is the transient occupancy tax. Discuss and provide direction to staff regarding the potential adjustment to city's transient occupancy tax, TOT. Approve an agreement in the amount of $123,250 with Pivotal Strategies LLC for ballot measure public outreach services in case the city council authorizes staff to proceed with the process to adjust the city's TOT, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. City Manager Olivas, do we have a staff report?
Madam Mayor, we do have a staff report. I'll hand it over to Mr. Osqui here in a second. This particular item came before the council a couple years ago, but because of the pandemic, we had to postpone it. It's before you again. What it is essentially a visitor's tax for hotels for anybody that's going to be staying in Downey. Currently, the city is at about 9%. Surrounding communities are anywhere from 12%, 11%, all the way up to 13%. So we're significantly under that. So with that, I'll hand it off to Mr. Osqui. You can go ahead and sort of update you where we started and where we're at today.
Mayor, this concludes my presentation. Thank you, City Manager Rivas. The mic working now? Thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, the hour is late, and you have two other items that before you that needs to be presented. So with your permission, I'll be brief, as the written report before you provides a comprehensive background. And having said that, I think it's important to highlight a few facts and statistics. First and foremost, let's be clear, because I heard some comments tonight from the audience, that the transient occupancy tax, which is generally referred to as, in short, as TOT, is not a tax on our residents. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to
Can you
call
say
it.
it again on the record, John?
I am on the record saying that the transit occupancy tax is not a tax on our residents. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to call it a visitor's tax. Why? Because TOT is essentially an assessment which is levied on the privilege of using a hotel, motel, or other similar lodging establishments, including mobile homes and short-term rentals. TOT, however, cannot be levied against timeshares or state park system campsites. It is interesting to note that TOT was originally designed to compensate local governments, such as us, for the increased public service as providing police, fire, life and safety, maintenance of roadways, and other related services that are incurred by cities in serving the local tourists and visitors. The state's Revenue and Taxation Code, Section 7280, authorizes the cities to tax a person staying 30 days or less in a qualified lodging accommodation. Any new or increased TOT requires a vote of the electorate. If an adjustment is to generate additional revenues as a general tax, then it requires a majority of votes, which is 50% plus one. If it is going to be levied as a special tax, and some folks do that, such as providing services specific, such as tourism expansion programs, then it becomes a special tax, which requires a 2/3 vote of the electorate. With the power of the cities to impose TOT is the corollary power to use reasonable measures to collect the TOT, which includes having others collected and remitted to the city. This is how the city of Downey does collect its TOT. The city of Downey started its TOT back in 1965. The TOT was last adjusted in 1998, 24 years ago, to its current rate of 9%, which was only after the voters approved that. We know that the cost of providing general services used by local tourists and travelers has increased substantially since 1998. Staff have explored alternatives for generating additional revenues to offset these cost increases. And it appears the most fair and equitable revenue-generating stream would be an increase in the TOT, so that the tourists and visitors would end up paying for their fair share and our residents would not have to subsidize. The last time staff presented, as City Manager Olivas mentioned, presented this proposition to the City Council was in 2019, 3 years ago.
At that time, the city council, after careful deliberation, directed staff to start working on adjusting the TOT from 9% to 13%. And I've attached a copy of the minutes and the agenda and full report of that meeting for your information. And City Council also authorized preparation of the ballot materials which includes a new ordinance, the ballot title and question, as well as the required resolutions, and place it on the November 2020 election. The City Council also authorized staff to hire a consultant to assist with community outreach and public information services. And then COVID happened, and the process was put on hold. This has not taken away the need to adjust the TOT. It still exists. And we are here before you to request that once again the City Council provide direction to staff. Staff is respectfully requesting that the City Council, after consideration, authorize the process to put the question to the voters in the upcoming general election, November 2022, be done again. And with that, there are, again, some data, and as City Manager Gilbert Livos mentioned, the average in our surrounding areas is about 10.45%. Now, there are some cities, Long Beach higher, TOT is much higher than ours, Los Angeles is much higher than what we are suggesting to you, but in our general vicinity, it's about 10.5% rather. How much additional revenues would be generated by this proposal? Roughly about $950,000, close to $1 million a year. That is going to go to our general fund to pay for such essential services as police, fire, life safety. That concludes my report, Madam Mayor. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do you have any questions or comments from council?
I do. I have a couple of questions, if I may, John. And so again, this is, I'm looking at the minutes from, in the documents provided. So we're looking at a 12%, is that correct?
Councilmember Frumeta, back in 2019, staff presented several options that went all the way to 14%.
And we arrived at, 13.
There was deliberation, and if I remember correctly, at the time, it was Councilmember Saab.
Yes, I see it.
Suggested 13%, and that was the marching orders for the staff to pursue a 13% adjustment.
Correct. Do we know, I know COVID has really dealt the blow to the world, and we are no exception. And with travel having been suspended, or appended actually for quite some time, do we know now, with our current hotels and motels in the area, particularly Embassy Suites, which is one of our biggest ones, do we know what their occupancy, what their current occupancy rate is, over the last several months since travel began to?
Embassy Suites, as you recall, Councilman Frumeta, has one of the highest occupancy rates in the area. It's very successful endeavor. As you mentioned, the numbers dipped down quite substantially in 2019 and 20. From what I've heard, and I do not have the exact numbers. I'll be happy to gather that for you and share it with you and the rest of the council. But it is almost back up wherever it was before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And that's generally true for the entire tourism industry from what I've been studying.
Mm-hmm. And as I see the staff report and I see the minutes, that our finance director, Gandhi, did recommend this increase as it was long overdue. And also, this may not be increased for another 25 to 30 years. So we're going from the current 9 to the proposed 13, and this is probably where it'll stay for another couple of decades. Is that
You're
correct?
absolutely on the mark, Councilman Frumeta. Generally speaking, when it comes to fees and taxes and questions that needs to be put before the voters for approval, things that are subject to 218, Proposition 218, or otherwise like the one that you have before you, it is my experience, and you know it, that the question doesn't get revisited oftentimes. Mm-hmm. So yes.
No, and can you explain, and again, for the record, John, I know we have it in our agenda packets, but what are some of the strategies that we're going to be engaging if we agree and if we pass this, so that the public is able to understand what this is in terms of education before the election?
Absolutely. And that is a very important component of this, because we heard it tonight. Some of our folks didn't know. They thought that this would be a tax on them. So a robust public information campaign is essential, and that's why if you authorize us tonight to move forward, we also had asked another question, that you authorize the staff also to engage the services of Pivotal Strategies, which is a firm that they have the expertise on addressing these sort of issues, to hire them to assist us. And their proposal is, you have it before you, clearly states the types of activities that we need to take between now and November. And they're telling you that most of it falls, they are going to assist us with material. We're going to utilize our website. They're going to post information on our website and social media platforms to share it with our residents. But also somewhere in here, I was reading in their proposal, rightfully so, and that's my experience from the past campaigns, that staff is going to be on the forefront of this campaign, that we have to hold meetings with our constituents, informing them of what it is and what needs to happen. And that's going to be an essential step that we have to take, and we shall take that. Essentially, there are two phases to the campaign. One would start with the council's decision to proceed with the measure. They will develop a brand which has compelling messages and communicate consistently with our stakeholders, our population. And phase two, when we get closer to the council's decision to move forward with placing a measure, that's when you adopt the ordinance and the resolutions. It's going to kick into high gear, and it's going to include a series of public meetings that we are going to hold, and also we are going to increase our outreach to the public via our social platforms. So it's going to be an all-out campaign.
Councilmember Oh, sorry.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
One of the things I want to make clear is, we're saying campaign, but really it's an education outreach. This is what we're doing. It's informing the public of what this particular measure does. We're not really going out there and saying, advocating for it. We have to go out and educate the public as to what this measure does. And that's what we did with Measure S in terms of educating, the public on this particular item, pros and cons as we move forward. And so, as John said, we've had experience doing this before, where we actually went out and spoke to the service clubs about the measure. And back even when we did Measure S, it was overwhelmingly supported by the community as well, almost a 2/3 vote. So we have used the money in the past for exactly what we said we were going to use it for. In this last round, we did parks, police, fire, our civic center. If we deliver what we say we're going to deliver, I think that the residents will support it, but it's an educational campaign.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Yes, have we used Pivotal Strategies LLC before?
Pivotal Strategies LLC is newly formed company, Councilmember Trujillo. We went through a process of seeking proposals from qualified firms 4 years ago. The firm that we selected, well known in the industry, Sorrell. They provide a lot of public information services. So I reached out to them again to see if we can, and a contract was awarded to Sorrell, by the way, 3 years ago. So I reached out to them to see if we can kickstart the process if the council approves it. And I found out that Sorrell no longer exists in the shape and form that it existed up until 6 months ago. Wow. So they have broken up. They're not taking any new clients. A number of their team members that were on our team that was assigned to us have left the company. Majority of those folks came together to form the new company, Pivotal Strategies. So they have previous experience with the city. They started the process. They're intimately familiar. And we thought that in the interest of time, because as you know, going through an RFP process and hiring another firm is going to take at least 3 months.
Right.
And if we were to put this on the ballot in 2022, in November, a few months from now, we wouldn't have the luxury of time on our side to go out there and hire another firm. So I'm confident that the folks in Pivotal Strategies would be able to do a good job for us, and I recommend that.
No further questions, Madam Mayor. I am prepared to make a motion if
Is
there's
there
no
any
more
other-
questions.
No, so that would be a motion to approve the recommended action.
Okay,
I
is there a motion?
second.
And a second. Everyone, please vote.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is to approve the State Gallery Subcommittee recommendation to approve the Downey Art Vibe assignment and assumption agreement and approve Amendment 1 to the operating agreement and authorize the city manager to execute any and all amendments to the agreement.
Madam Mayor, because I own commercial property in close proximity to the location, I must abstain from this item at this time.
So we'll have to have you go to the back.
Yeah.
Okay. City Manager Olivas, do we have a staff report?
Madam Mayor, we do have a staff report that will be given by Aldo Schindler, Community Development Director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Manager. Just to give a brief update based on what was presented to the City Council State Gallery Subcommittee. I don't want to get too far out ahead of that subcommittee. State Gallery made a request to staff for additional funding for this fiscal year to their existing operating agreement that they have with the city. And then a City Council State Gallery Subcommittee, was convened, and State Gallery staff provided a presentation to the subcommittee and requested additional funding for the remaining lease payments from April to July of 2022 at a cost of $12,128. State Gallery also requested $4,000 a month from April to July of 2022 for operating costs to ensure the regular operating hours and programming for the public at their art gallery for a total cost of $16,000 for that same time duration. So the total additional cost to this year's budget for their operating agreement is $28,128. The reason State Gallery staff gave for the request was the impact of COVID-19 restrictions on their art gallery and in general the art gallery industry. And that concludes my update.
Thank you.
Mayor and council, one additional thing. There are two agreements on this agenda item. The first is an assignment agreement. It appears as we were interacting with the State Gallery that Downey Art Vibe, who is the original party to the agreement, was merged with a new nonprofit called State Arts. So we had to transfer the original contract between the city and Downey Art Vibe to Stay Arts. So Stay Arts steps into the shoes of Downey Art Vibe and will take on the responsibilities under the operating agreement. So that's the assignment. And then the second piece of that is the operating agreement amendment. So amending the operating agreement to allow for the additional subsidies as presented by the Deputy City Manager Schindler. So you'll be asked to approve two agreements for this particular item.
I have a question, Madam City Attorney. I'm looking at our agenda packet, page 652, and I just want to ask, are the individuals currently listed as part of the State Arts and their board of directors? Are those individuals part of Stay Arts? And again, we're going from Art Vibe to Stay Arts. Are these individuals still the voting members of that board?
Aldo? I think he's.
My understanding is the answer is yes.
I think somebody is here to answer
Yeah.
that question. George?
George.
Hey, how's it going? My name's George Manzanilla. I was actually one of the first sponsors of Stay back in, I think, 2011 or something like that. And now I find myself as board chair. So as far as our organization, the board has largely stayed the same. There's been a couple reshuffling here and there, but Downey Art Vibe, basically it's just a name change to Stay Arts that better reflects kind of the organization as a whole and what it is and where our future trajectory is. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
So
as well.
George, and again, just the listing of the individuals that are part of your board of directors, are those still current?
Yes.
Okay.
And are the board members the same both on Stay Arts and Downey Art Vibe? Are they the same exact board members for both? Or is
I
it
don't know what you have for Downey Art Vibe. I'm not sure if that's an old document or not, but our board members are myself, Luz Loncourt, Valentin Flores, Barney, and
Gabriel? I see Emily
yeah.
Martinez listed.
Emily, yes.
Okay, and so again, to make sure we're not confusing, you went from Downey Art Vibe to now Stay Arts. And
yes.
this is the new
Yes.
name, the new
Yeah.
organization. Okay, got it. I don't have any additional comments. Questions. I realize that we've all had a very difficult time, and the closure of the galleries all across has been difficult in getting the different clubs and organizations. Certainly, you started a very strong program with the school, the school district. I can see that, again, that was also impacted. How are you planning to revive or get that? Are you still continuing with the USD and getting those programs?
Yeah, we're gonna, Gabe will speak to that, I think, a little better.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Gabriel.
Hi, Gabe.
Nice to see you all. So what was your question, Claudia? I'm so sorry.
About you still have the partnership with DUSD, and as far as getting those, I think it was Paint and Learn, or some of the classes. I think it was the elementary, the middle schools. Correct me, Gabe.
So there's been a misconception that we've had a contractual agreement or partnership with the school district. That has never been the case. Mm-hmm. In 2013, 2014, we did pilot programs that were geared towards students. Mm-hmm. And I think that those photos and the language was just attached to our organization for so long that it was just a presumption mm-hmm. that was the case. Again, we've never had an actual relationship on with an agreement since our founding in 2012.
I think that's when our Kiwanis Club was more involved with the state gallery. So some of the funding also came from the Kiwanis Club of Downey.
Right. In 2014, we did receive a grant or monies from Kiwanis to fund and pilot programs for Downey Unified students. But that was really the only formal mm-hmm. programming we ever did have. And to kind of further that, are there plans for more programs for the school district in the future? Yes. Mm-hmm. Currently, we are focusing on the programs that we offer to the community, which are our exhibitions, our family paint days, which are for all families in the city, mm-hmm. and our Stay public program.
And you still continue to be open, is it 4 days a week? What are the hours, Gabe?
Currently, we are not open to the public. The reason for that is because our funding has been pretty tight, and we cannot even afford to be open at the moment, which is why we are here to request the extended funding for through July.
And that would allow you to open?
That would allow us to reopen, have regular open hours, 3 to 4 days a week, exhibitions, events.
What would those hours be, Gabe?
Usually they go from around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. to about 5 or 6 p.m. And that includes weekends.
So it's 3 to 4 days that would be, that would kind of tie into the weekend, not, so the totality would be 3 to 4 days, including the weekend, from
Correct.
10 to 4, 10 to 5, something
Correct,
like
but
that?
it could change. It's still
Okay.
kind of up for debate. It's
Still a
really
little
dependent.
fluid.
Yeah, I think this is the first step.
Sounds good, sounds
Yeah.
good. I don't have any further questions, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
both, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I think it's important to keep our Stay Arts and our Stay Gallery
And this would
open.
be, a motion would be to approve the Downey Art Vibe assignment and assumption agreement and approve amendment number 1 to the operating agreement. There is a
Correct.
motion and a second. Can we all please vote? Once it comes up.
The motion is approved with Councilmember Trujillo abstaining from the item.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all for attending.
Thank you for staying so late.
Yes. Okay, we can go
Mario?
get Mario.
There was one motion. There was one motion.
Okay. The next item is to consider providing $25,000 to support the Downey Pride Festival scheduled for August 12th through the 13th, 2022. Item number 21 was requested by Councilmember Trujillo. Member Trujillo, you may proceed with your comments.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to just, oh, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. First and foremost, I do want to disclose that I serve on the board of the Los Angeles Centers for Alcohol and Drug Abuse, LA CADA, which many of you may be familiar. It's a nonprofit that has been providing services to our residents, particularly around the area of mental health and substance abuse. It's a nonprofit, tax-exempt corporation, and I am serving as an uncompensated board member. Tonight's presentation is from LA CADA as the sponsoring nonprofit for the Downey Pride event. We formed a committee last year. Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez asked that staff look into it, and ultimately a committee was formed by residents that came up with the idea of a Downey Family Pride Picnic. The committee associated with LA CADA at the recommendation of Councilmember Henry Bouchot from Whittier, who gave us guidance on how Whittier had come about their Whittier Pride event. And they said, we're working with LA CADA. I said, well, I'm familiar with LA CADA, I'm on their board. And it was a successful event. I think all of us attended. Well received by the community, very family-focused, youth-oriented, I'm happy to say. And so the committee resumed at the beginning of the year, and they've now come up with what they would like to see come to Downey in terms of this Pride celebration. And tonight we have a representative development coordinator from Los Angeles Centers for Alcohol and Drug Abuse. That's Priscilla Rodriguez. Good evening, Ms. Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mayor
evening.
and Council. Thank you for having me today. Again, Priscilla Rodriguez with LA CADA. You emphasize a lot about the event, so thank you for that. Today I'll be presenting our second annual Downey Pride. This year we'd like to host Downey Pride on 2 separate days. If we can get okay. So the first event that we'd like to host is our Downey Pride Sunset Festival, taking place August 12th from 6 to 11 p.m. The location we'd like to have it is on Downey Avenue between 2nd and 4th Street. What we envision is to have particular food trucks, along with have all of our local restaurants open for business during that time. We'd like to have community booths as well as vendors, so we'd have our community partners come in and share the good work that they do in the community with our audience, as well as vendors that would sell particular, just basically put their business out there, allowing for the audience to stop by the booths. We'd like to have a 21 and over beer garden. For entertainment, we plan to have live DJ as well as performers. Our Friday event will be geared more towards a mature audience. And our host sponsors, our Office of Supervisor Janice Hahn, LA CADA, Downtown Downey Business Association, Downey Chamber of Commerce, and City of Downey pending approval.
So the other ones are, I'm sorry to interrupt, the other ones have already approved, the Downtown Business Association and the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes. So I'll go ahead and move on to the next presentation, which is our second annual Downey Pride Family Picnic, very similar to what we had last year. This one will take place on Saturday, August 13th from 12 to 6 p.m. The location, again, the same park, which is Furman Park, located here in Downey. For lunch, we want to serve free tacos as well as a variety of dessert trucks. We want to have a family interactive fun tent, which would have a petting zoo, face painting, and we're looking into jumpers. Granted, they are within safety. They're compliant. Again, a photo booth, which is an interactive photo booth allowing audience members to take particular photos and take the memories home with them. Again, community and business booths, so community booths that would share the work that they do at their particular agencies with our audience, and then allow for businesses to come in and share with the community what their business involves or provides. On Saturday, we'd like to have, again, a live DJ as well as performers. And our host sponsors, again, Office of Supervisor Janice Hahn, LA CADA, Downey Chamber of Commerce, and then City of Downey pending approval. So last year's Downey Pride was a success. We had over 2,000 people come to the event. The community came together as one, allowing individuality and unity. This year, we hope to gain your support to continue to spread the love and allow for us to come together and celebrate our second annual Downey Pride. We hope that you'll consider our ask for $25,000 to support Downey Pride. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
In terms of the money, so you're asking $25,000 from the city, but you're also asking that we close the streets, that we let you use our park, and that we waive fees like we did last year. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And what is the total budget for both events, if you will, cumulative with everything, your in-kinds, everything? If somebody was to put on these two events separately, what's the total ticket price for both events?
So I don't have that in front of me, but I can provide it to Parks and Recs.
Okay.
So that you guys can review it.
My understanding is that the supervisor has committed $25,000?
Yes, Supervisor Hahn has committed to 25.
Okay.
In addition to in-kind donations, which are in-kind, which is over 16,000.
Okay. And if you, so we're getting two events for $25,000 if we approve this. Why a beer garden?
We're gearing towards a more mature audience, so we want to be able to offer it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that reason, we decided to have two events. so that we can still keep our family focused, where the kiddos can come and petting zoo. So we wanted to have two separate events.
And in terms of the downtown event, the Business Association, what are they doing for this event?
I believe we are going to request sponsorship from them, as well as their appearance to be part of it.
And are the events, is there any charge to our residents to either of the events?
Both events are free to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Would this include also the food trucks on the Friday? There's going to be food trucks on Friday night, correct?
There will be, and food trucks, I believe we will be charging.
Okay, for those food
Or
trucks.
the food trucks will be charging.
Okay, and then for the Saturday one, the picnic one, will there be, will the food be charged on that one, or is that free?
Free tacos.
Oh, for that one?
Everyone.
Okay.
I heard a street closure would be part of this request. I just want to let the council know that that's a separate process. So it couldn't be approved tonight under this item, but it could be approved in a separate procedure we have for street closures.
And have the businesses been contacted off of Downey Avenue to ensure that they're okay with it? I'm assuming they are, given that it's the downtown, the district. But I just want to confirm whether they have been, conversations have been held with those businesses.
It has been brought up. We are working closely with the chamber so that we can collaboratively go to each one and make sure that they are aware.
Sorry, oh, go ahead.
I have a couple questions. So this is, from what I see, it's not on the staff report. For the Friday event, similarly to the International Food and Music Festival, this would be a 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. event. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the layout in all of this would be the responsibility of whom? Of the event organizers? City public?
Event organizers, which is LA CATA.
Okay. And as far as security, I'm assuming, again, I don't want to assume, but last year we had a good collaboration. We had our police, but they were also paid for by other funding. Do we know how are we going to manage security for both days?
Sorry about that. I believe we are able to get security through the county if that's approved. If not, then we could go the route that we did last year, which is hire PD to work during that time frame.
I don't know if this is correct, but it does say here the supervisor's office will cover the cost of security and/or police personnel.
Oh, my
Yes.
bad. I didn't see that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And if I may, the supervisor, my understanding, has made clear that the decision on what security services we use, whether it's county sheriff or Downey Police Department, would be left up to us, the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if we were to approve this, and one of the conditions is that you use Downey PD, is your budget prepared to absorb that cost?
Yes.
Security for both days, and that security would be Downey PD?
Yes.
Okay.
Council members, and that would be our preference, that our own police force.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the requested amount is $25,000 to cover both days, not just $25,000 per day. It's $25,000 for both.
25,000 total, yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Sorry it's so late. I will now entertain a motion and a second to provide $25,000 to support the Downey Pride Festival scheduled for August 12th through the 13th.
And
So
if
there's a
if I may add one more comment, Madam Mayor, before we proceed with the motion. I think it's important for our community overall, and our residents, because there's always two sides to everything we do. And I think it's important to underscore, and I'm going to say it again, the importance of unity and inclusion. And when we talk about loving thy neighbor, we need to be that community. We always speak about fairness and inclusion and equal opportunities for everybody. And I think we must, as a community, continue to move forward and emulate that which is what we preach, and that is we love thy neighbor, and we include everyone regardless of creed, sexual orientation, race. Communities that unite are communities that move forward, and those are the communities that are strong. And I always say engaged communities are strong communities. And so Downey, we need to, in the same way we support so many other events throughout the course of our history in Downey. The International Food Festival, Food and Music Festival. We will continue to have our Havana Nights, which is a celebration of not just Cubans, it's a celebration of Latin American, and yes, because Cubans have a strong presence in this community, we celebrate culture and we celebrate tradition. And so in that same spirit, we need to remember all of us, that we need to, as a council, we look at things that are fair, regardless of how which side we sit on or where we are. We need to unite and remember that we need to love thy neighbor. That's all I have to say, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and I'm glad you bring that up because that is the reason why it was important for me to respect each and every one of my council colleagues. So we do have to practice what we preach. We do have to respect each other. That includes Mayor Pro Tem Alvarez, respecting her. That includes Councilmember Trujillo. That includes you yourself. We need to work together. We need to work together for the benefit of the city. And I hate to say this, but we cannot be attacking each other publicly. So we need to work together, and that is my intention, bring us all together. So everything that I do, every vote that I make, I'm conscious about the community, and I'm conscious about my council colleagues. So just know I duly respect each and every one of you, and I think I've shown that on this dais. So sorry about that lengthy blabbering on and on, but let's go ahead and vote. There was a motion and a second. Okay.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. City Manager Olivas, do you have any comments?
Just one comment. I want to welcome back Vanya de Rojas, who was on maternity leave, and welcomed a beautiful baby boy, and so she's back in the saddle. So thank you, Vanya, and for coming back. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you. We are now going to adjourn the council meeting in memory of retired Downey Code Enforcement Officer Robert L. Weinrich, father of Downey Police Sergeant Nate Weinrich, who lost his valiant 18-year battle with cancer, the victims of the Ukraine crisis, and the lives lost due to COVID-19. A moment of silence. Council meeting adjourned.
Good evening, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.